Good evening. This is Jonathan Albin, the Games Master, and I am fixing all of my sound problems. Just a moment, just a moment. Alrighty, as I said, this is Jonathan Albin. I am the Game Market Guru, and tonight we are starting our election coverage for the 2022 election period. And of course, the vote I'm talking about, the one that's most important to all of us, despite whether you live in a red state or a blue state, it's going to be determining whether or not you, as the role players of the world, role play as homebrew or branded game masters. Whether you are a player in an environment that is created by the players, or whether you are a creator or a player who participates in properties that are designed specifically for Dungeons and Dragons exclusively. I have high hopes for this year's election. This is the first time this has ever been done that I know of, and I think that it's really high time that we actually get behind our candidate in this highly contested race. As you see, early reports are only in based on the sole ballot that's been received so far. If you are a viewer of my channel or a role player in general, I petition that you contact everybody you know that role plays in any environment and have them click in. And I notice I listed the branded D&D content. I'm going to change that here in a second. It should actually be branded content because there are, of course, more designer companies than just Dungeons and Dragons. So let me change this to be a fair and open election. We don't believe in stifling anybody's attempt to gather this information, and I will be dedicating to stay up all night. Now, in the meantime, of course, I am biased in a particular direction on this, as evidenced by the early voting, since I'm the first person to have put in a ballot. But I anticipate that all of you will join in shortly and let me know what your take is on this. I have been a game master myself for 48 years, and while I'm going to try to pace myself, I know that I'm going to get excited and inevitably possibly bias this election. So I'm sure there will be those that will be accusing me of voter fraud or something like that, because that's what happens in these elections. And yes, I will be drinking during the episode. The drinking is done via my favorite non-alcoholic beverages. And just wanted to note that the container here was made by a friend of mine who is a role player in the Riverside area, and he does really great work with his 3D printer. He painted it up for me uniquely, so this is the only one that's going to be like this. But if you PM me, I'm sure we can get arrangements to try to get one coordinated for yourself. I don't yet have this out on as an item on my store yet, but you can go to NycosRPG and check out my merch there. All right, so also want to call out to my sponsor. If you'll notice down here in the corner is the logo for Board Game Paradise. They are a store in Redlands, California, full service store. As a matter of fact, I heard a quote anecdotally from one of the visitors to that store yesterday evening when I was there that said it was the best role-playing game store and indeed the best game store that they had ever been in. They were very appreciative of the wide array of properties that were there, and in the process we picked up a possible couple of new players for our game. And just so you also know, full disclosure, I do run a game at a game store in Redlands, California, Monday nights, and I would love it for you, the viewers, when you get an opportunity to come out there and join us at that store on Monday nights. As I said, this is really a heated election season, and a lot of people are really, buried in their local politics. But the more important race right now is going on and the polls will be closing, I think, about midnight tonight. I'm not so sure exactly when the final votes will be able to be cast on this very contested election. But as you notice, we have two primary candidates listed on the boards here: Homebrew Game Master content or branded content. And we want to get votes from you, the viewers. The way you vote is really simple. You just drop into the chat here, and although it's not anonymous, you still will have the protection of your moniker on Twitch. But let me know what your preference is, whether you prefer homebrew game content or whether you prefer branded properties. So settle in and relax, and be ready to give me some information. I'm sure we'll have some very interesting conversations along the way, and I'm anticipating that we may or may not have some special guests as well, as I do have a considerable number of associates who actually are members of my Patreon and therefore have voice capability to be on the show with me. So until we get to that point, I'm Jonathan Albin, the Games Master, and I will be overseeing this election. As a storyteller and a game master, I have overseen many properties and events throughout the years, and I have arguably run as many games in branded content as I have external to them. So I am far from too biased on this subject, although I, of course, have my preference for homebrew. I am going to be releasing my own role-play game in the next few months, and some of you actually can get access to it through my I'm using a I guess you'd say a minimalist retail opportunity. You can actually get a hold of the NycosRPG at the NycosRPG.com website. But I am going to be also, in the meantime, running in the background the actual election information that's going on in the country as well, because it is, of course, critically important that we keep track of what's going on in our nation and watching as things develop, both the positive and the negative. Let me go over here and turn on. I'm just going to have it running, and I somehow close that window. So while we're doing that, feel free to hop into the chat. Let me know what your take is on this. I'd love to get your votes on this hypercritical election as well. If I am incommunicative at any moment, it's because I'm actually also checking into other things as well. Let's go here. There we go. I gotta get ready to turn the volume down on this though. See if I can get it so that hasn't kicked in yet. So I want to thank my sponsors and my Patreon supporters at this point, and I will be calling out to them independently during this broadcast to let you kind of know who they are. Why? Oh, I know why. I know why. I was in the wrong search window. That's why. Anyway, as I was saying, this is the very first of my reports on the election night coverage, and we will be, from time to time, adding additional races to be followed. At this point, the current most heavily contested classification or election going on is the preference of homebrew content over branded content. Currently, it's a very, very close race with one vote for homebrew content and as yet no votes for branded content. But that's full disclosure, I was the first person to cast a vote in this heated election, so we shall see how that goes. If you have friends who are role-play gamers of any sort, make sure you let them know that this election is going on. Have them come and join us, cast their votes, and the polls won't be closing until roughly midnight tonight, and there may even be some extensions depending on how things go at that point, how heated the process is at that moment. I'm a big believer in having every vote count, of course, because we are a democratic republic. We are actually a representative republic, but we, as individuals, do cast our votes for the persons that we elect to send to run our government. But on this is a much more near and dear race. This is pure polling information that every game master, every storyteller, every person who is involved in a role-play game, whether they be a storyteller or a player, need to get their voices heard. So feel free to get me that information, drop into the chat, and let me know where you stand on this subject. We will count every vote, and every vote will be counted. And there may even be a recount if I can arrange it. I'm going to be posting my results in the NycosRPG and OK to Play channels momentarily, just so that they're formally balloted as well, because although I've already posted my choice, I haven't yet placed it up there officially. So there you go. That's what I was looking for. Volumes turned off. Now, you guys won't be seeing the results, but I'm actually watching the actual tallies on the internet. I prefer to get my news from a place called Daily Wire, and if you're not familiar, they're quite a fascinating group. I'll put it that way. Quite eclectic. Of course, I'm more than willing to accept recommendations from other people on what news sources I should use as well. So feel free to give me any information on that in the chat as well. Alrighty, so let's see here. One more. Where'd it go? Oh, that's why. Getting everything set up here. Pardon for the delay here. Alrighty, as I said, we are live streaming. We're simulcasting on both of my channels, both It's OK to Play and NycosRPG, because this is such an important election process. So let's see here. Let's see. There it is. There we go. So I have officially, as It's OK to play, I have voted for Homebrew, and that's the single vote we see on the ballot on the boards so far. I don't know how successful this mission will be, but I endeavored to get us the most concurrent information on where people stand on this highly divisive topic, whether or not you are a supporter of homebrew content or if you are a branded content devotee. The lines are open, and there are plenty of opportunities to join in the conversation with me. The chat boxes are available both on both of my channels, and I'm monitoring both. And also, I have a active Discord account, and you're more than welcome to join with me on that. Every member of the Patreon account at any level has access to the Discord channel as a citizen of Nykos, and as such, you are more than welcome to join us. I am now signing in to the channel as well, as I want to make sure that I'm here for everybody. And now we get to see whether or not I can get this accomplished, switching over to the headsets without destroying my hat, which is, of course, ever important to me because I'm a kind of a hat collector guy. So, yikes. It's almost there. Almost there. I don't know why the front of that hat always wants to fold. Yikes. It's because it's been crushed. Problem with a hat that you wear a lot is it gets beat up a lot. So this may not work. Yeah, it's not gonna work. Well, I was going to do the Action News Reporter thing with a hat on, but I decided I'd just go with the headphones anyway. Alrighty, so the election has just started. I'm going to be putting out the word to the store news as well. We don't have permission to store news in D&D. There we go. There we go. I'm posting to a couple of my sites to let people know that this is going on. Alrighty, so I am here. I am available. So make sure you hop on. Let us know when you can. Let's see here. Interesting stuff. Alrighty, we are 20 minutes in, and the voting has not progressed. So the poll is still running 1-0. Homebrew is holding a slight lead on branded content, and that's simply because a single vote has been cast, and that's me. So, I mean, obviously, I have a vested interest in homebrew materials, but as a game master with more than 48 years of roleplay experience, I obviously can be unbiased because I've played both both branded content and homebrew content in a professional format at games conventions in the U.S. So if you are a roleplay gamer and you have not yet voted, make sure you get the word in soon and let me know how you stand on this. We will keep the polls open at least until midnight. We might actually run over depending on the number of people we have voting. But I know this is a very important subject and we need to get as many votes out as possible. So in the meantime, I'm going to be still stumping. Unfortunately, in this kind of an election, stumping is perfectly legitimate as an option. So here we go. I'm going to go over to this one and post here as well. Wow, my fingers are not working on this today. I don't know what's going on with this. And for those of you that are watching while I'm typing, I am Jonathan Albin. I am the Games Master, and I am here for the full night of election coverage for the 2022 season. Do jump into the chat and cast your vote for your favorite role-playing content. See here. And nope, that's not gonna work out. The other way. Alrighty. Back to this, and then back to this. Alrighty, this is Jonathan Albin. I'm sorry for being non-vocal there for a minute. I was resolving some stuff and getting the word out about this election to my Facebook followers as well. Love to have you drop into the chat, cast your vote. This is a very important election. We need to determine which is of greater import to the American people: homebrew Game Master content or branded content. Each person gets one vote. Just drop into the chat, say hi, and give me your hot take on this, of course, very important category. I realize there are a lot of really important other elections going on tonight, but I anticipate that here in the realm of the role play environment, while we have more than likely taken our activist steps of voting and getting the vote out to as many people as we can within the political realm, this is a much more near and dear topic to myself. Are you a supporter of branded material created by manufacturer companies and their designers, or do you prefer home brewed content created by the game masters that are local to you? I'm looking forward to your position on this, so please drop in, let me know. I am simulcasting on both of my Twitch channels so that we can get the greatest response. So if you are with me tonight, even if you normally just lurk, if you would just drop into the chat and tell me where you stand in terms of whether or not homebrew content or branded content is of higher value. It'd be of great interest not only to myself, but to game masters and players across the country and around the world. This is I'm broadcasting from the West Coast, so I'm going to be up the latest, so to speak. I'll be running until roughly midnight California time. I anticipate the polls will stay open at least that late. I do believe in allowing for late elections, so should there be votes that are cast after we've left the air, they will be counted. I pledge that if they are listed in my chat, they will be listed. So make sure you get your word in. If you are a role player and you have not sent anybody yet over here to take a view, please send out to all of your associates, anybody that you know that plays role play games, because I want to get their take on it as well. I got into this election process a little bit late this year. Next year, I endeavor to be on air when the polls open and stay all the way through until they close next time around. But because of the fact that this is such a late blooming and such a critical topic, I will be doing everything I can to present that information live here on the show. And if you are a role-play gamer and you want to have your voice audibly heard, you can actually do that by going to patreon.com/Nykos, becoming a patron, and getting access to my Discord channel, wherein I'm actually broadcasting there as well, so that we can get the word out to as many people as possible. As I said, I'm Jonathan Albin. I am the Games Master, and we are only about half an hour into this election cycle, and the polls are open. So, as I mentioned earlier, we are sponsored by Board Game Paradise, a retail store in the city of Redlands, California. So if you want your store represented, make sure you let them know to contact me about the sponsorship opportunities and all of that. But for the sake of the election itself, all I'm asking is that you drop into the chat and give me your thumbs up, thumbs down, your red line or blue line stance on these things. Are you a homebrew aficionado, or do you consider yourself a branded product, branded content devotee? I am anticipating a exciting conversation with those that have positions on this. I will at some point, if I'm given the opportunity by questions to answer why I stand where I stand on this topic, I will do so. I think it's ironic that my voting name shows up as blue, and yet I voted red. So there you go. What an egalitarian system we have here. All right, as I said, I'm Jonathan Albin. This is election night coverage. I will be monitoring not only my two channels here for votes, but I also am keeping my eye on the national scene with elections that are going on across the country. I won't be officially calling any results for anything other than my particular straw poll here that I've created. But I will probably be zoning out as I watch that while I'm waiting for the conversations with you, the viewers. I perhaps am looking at the viewership of Twitch slightly differently from most, in that I view them as active members of the community who are interested in gaining more information. And so I want to provide that opportunity to everyone that I can. So if you have a Twitch account and you've signed in, feel free to drop into the chat. Give me your take on this election issue, which of course is terribly important for the retailers and even the consumers. So, as I stated, I am drinking while I'm here, but those are non-alcoholic beverages, and they are presented in this wonderful mug that was 3D printed by a very good friend of mine from Riverside. So, in the meantime, if there's anybody that has a topic they want to talk about, drop me a line and I will wax poetic on virtually any subject. My personal roleplay experience goes back 48 years. I'm almost to where I can say over 50 years, but not quite. So, there we go. Alrighty, so while we're on the channel and while we're here, over on the NycosRPG channel in particular is where the votes are officially being cast. So if you are on the It's Okay to Play Twitch site, if you post there, I will endeavor to add your vote to the election process. If you, of course, wish me to proxy vote for you. Otherwise, you can switch over to the NycosRPG channel and present your vote there. The election process is scientifically simplistic in that literally I see with my eyeballs and I add it to the tally. So it's a very detailed process and really difficult for anybody to know. Okay, so no, it's not. It's easy, but quite easy. Nearly an inconvenience. Alrighty, so let's go over perhaps past year's elections. As early as 1974, the first votes of this type were cast in I would say not very heated. It was 100% of the voters that were polled chose Homebrew, and that's because in 1974 there was no branded content yet available. the products that had been released for Dungeons and Dragons were a blue box and a red box that included the basic materials to play Dungeons and Dragons, to the point where that had basically a single volume that had all of the rules for everything from the player side and the game master side, and was very simplistic. Unfortunately for me, though I had learned how to play in 1973, playing at the table of one of the guys that designed the game. Whoa, that's interesting. Why did that move back? That was fascinating. Oh, it's because it's adding my advertising line. That's fun. Alrighty, so anyway, so it was a landslide and it was the first of many landslides to follow, where homebrew content defeated branded content. Although, there we go. Hey, got to vote for homebrew. We have to move the election board. Yay! Got to move it up to 2. Oh no! Thank you very much, Axolotl, for the vote. And I got to change the. There we go. Whee! Ooh, do some high-tech technology there to move it around. Yeah, let's see. There we go. So we got our 2 votes, and yeah, I agree with you, Axolotl. There, it's definitely been a very stale in the main. Homebrew has been my favorite for a very long time, and I'm perhaps biasing the poll a bit by doing so. But the reality is that what Dungeons and Dragons and roleplay in general does is it opens up the opportunities for storytellers to convey the information they have. And thank you very much, Axolotl. If you are interested, we do have the opportunity for you to come on as a speaker if you join the Patreon over at patreon.com. If you pop over there, pick up one of the levels of membership there, you get the access to the Discord, and I could add you to the chat, and we could actually talk verbally. But otherwise, it's really great to have you with us. And if you have any questions you'd like to ask or additional information you want to add, feel free to do so. And I totally endorse the idea of stumping for your preference here. So thank you very much for telling us exactly why you voted the way you voted. These are gems. They are positively useful information that will help to expand roleplay overall. If you have friends on your friends list, make sure you let them know about this election process. Get them to bring in their votes. I've in the meantime, I've been dropping over to my other social media to make them aware, to allow others to become a part of this process as well. So thank you for your vote there, Axolotl. Wow, some excitement. We've had a rush here of new votes into the countdown from the election coverage, I should say. I do countdown shows as well. So there you go. Thank you for again for that content add in there, Axolotl. Let's see. Over here. Oh, by the way, Axolotl, if you have any other topics you want to have me add to the election poll, any questions you'd like me to throw up to ask the voters, I can include those as well, and so we can make this more dynamic, if not for this year, but for future years. And pardon me while I type, because I can't type and talk at the same time very well. Not yet. I've got to get better. Long running. There we go. Set that out. We'll see how that goes. Get anybody to join us over here. Oh, I did that wrong. Oops. Did they bring us to here, or did it bring us someplace else? It did bring us someplace else. Yikes. There we go. Got it right this time. There we go. We'll see how that goes. So we have 2 votes so far. Thank you so much again for casting your vote. Axolotl, please put out the word to others to let them know to come and join us. I want to see how many votes we get in. The polls will be open until midnight. And in the meantime, if you have any additional questions, comments, such you would like to add to this, feel free to do so. I think that this will be kind of a fun conversation as well. Possibly will open up a new can of worms, so to speak, to get people to realize that there are topics that we can actually dive into in terms of why Dungeons and Dragons and 5th edition in particular has had such trouble, and what other RPGs are left in the wreckage, if you will, of the last decade or so. As a game master I've pretty much played virtually any role-play game ever published in the last 40 years. I have some opinions, let's say, on how they all work. And 5e is, I think that 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons, when it was first launched, had such potential because it was in some ways returning to the storyteller, to the game master, some of the controls necessary to make the game equitable, to allow the storyteller, the game master, to do his own thing again. And maybe that's only because each new release has an open field until such time as branded content comes along. I do feel that you're correct in that it is that the basic mainframe format for 5e is in some ways nerfed compared to the homebrew. I do know that in some cases the homebrew can lead to rather OP positions, and we can't always depend on a storyteller to be able to cover all the bases, so to speak. So there's a bit of push me pull you, and arguably, since I am admittedly one of the few that fundamentally purchases every role-play product that comes out across the board. Guilty pleasure there. The merits of the 5e system, the openness with which it came to the scene, is also, I think, promulgated by the development of properties like Matt Mercer's Critical Role and other video. I mean, obviously here on Twitch there are dozens and dozens, if not hundreds and hundreds, of storytellers that are running role-play games, both branded and non-branded. And that's one of the reasons for this content here. If you are a fan of role-play games and you haven't yet viewed the other properties that are out there, you will get to get a clear eye on some of the pluses and minuses of the 2 choices here in this election. And as already noted, we have a grandstanding here by the and we're not running a victory lap by any stretch. The polls have only been open just under 45 minutes, or just over 45 minutes. So we have a lot more material that could come up in this election, but we definitely are looking for additional input from other voters. And in defense of the branded content, it is in some ways superior for a new player to actually get a chance to have even footing with the more veteran player, because the property is so even-handed. Now, the problem with being even-handed is that it tends to be pretty mushy in terms of intent. Yes. Yes. As a matter of fact, the irony is that you can no longer count Critical Role. Axolotl included in his explanation that Critical Role and things like that fall into the homebrew category, but alas, they no longer do. They have now become branded. They are part of the Dungeons and Dragons lore, and their properties have been added. Now, we're currently on commercial on the primary NycosRPG, so please just hang out with us while the... there you go, we're back. We have to... the advantage of submitting to that kind of thing is it does add to the revenue stream, which keeps me operating, which leads me back, of course, inexorably to, if you haven't yet, pop over to the patreon.com. There's additional content there. There's also some older materials that are available. We also have a YouTube channel at NycosRPG that we just recently got to have that handle. So at NycosRPG is our YouTube site, and there are there's hundreds of hours of roleplay goodness over there, as the campaigns that I did during COVID and pre-COVID are videotaped there, recorded there. Wow, there's old for you, videotaped. I haven't used videotape ever for any of my material, but and that's how old OLD I am. All right, so there you go. If you do have any questions, comments, rants that you want to include, feel free to include those in the Discord. In the chat channel. And if you haven't yet, hit the patreon.com and gain your access to the Discord channel. Which reminds me, I need to go and see if there's anybody that's joined Discord, because if they had, then I have to make sure they get their access. They have not yet. So there you go. Alrighty. So if you are on the Discord and haven't noticed, I am currently operating in the Scuttlebutt and Gossip channel, but I'm now switching myself over to the streaming show. There we go. There we go. Now I'm in the right channel for the streaming show audio. So if you do join the Discord, don't be concerned, because it will be I will be accessing you as soon as I see that you've joined, because it lets me know. As I was saying, in the early days, early years of the Nykos environment, dating all the way back to the 1970s, the elections would have been landslides, because there wasn't a lot of Dungeons and Dragons material yet available from the publisher, or even from licensed subcontractors, as there was later. In the early 80s, I would say the votes were a little bit more on parity, because even I was running a branded material. I had a process where I would buy the most recent module of Dungeons and Dragons, and then for half the cost of the module, I would invite players to come and participate, and we would actually have a blind vote at the end of the game between the players to determine which player performed the best in that adventure, and they would actually get that branded material as a service. Now, on the positive side, it definitely advanced my causes, because I was getting paid, and I would say that in the 1970s, and getting paid to run role-play games was a very extreme novelty. There were very few game masters that even considered generating revenue by the games that they administered. And so I somewhat am a forerunner of even Matt Mercer from that standpoint. As a matter of fact, I did some very early video work even before Critical Role hit the boards, but that was more because I had players that wanted records for their own copies, and so we actually did use record. I guess it was videotape. It was the little 8mm. I'm going to say a Sony camera that we used, but it was the little tapes, and so we could only run basically 45-minute to an hour games was the most the little batteries could handle. So as the OG in the property, so to speak, I kind of take pride in the way that it is developed, in that I'm very impressed with the direction that Critical Role has taken the game in some ways, although it does sadden me to see that Dungeons & Dragons has authorized branding of those materials. It almost feels like an inverse money grab from Wizards to reach back into the pocket of an independent game master. Although from his side, arguably, he's probably making a pretty good sum from the properties that the product that is being sold in the name of his Wildemount setting. So while we have these moments of silence in the show, I do want to remind you that our sponsor is Board Game Paradise. That's their logo down there in the corner. They are a store in Redlands, California. Full service store, cover every form of games imaginable, from cribbage and canasta and that kind of thing to chess, baccarat. I mean, just all kinds of board games, card games. They have the owner, Rich Matney, is a huge fan of the Cult of New, and so they have a lot of brand new product that is basically coming right out of Kickstarter. So if you want access to the cream of the crop in terms of tabletop materials, whether it be card games, board games, miniatures games, role-play games, definitely drop by Board Game Paradise in Redlands, California. They're on State Street in downtown. For more information, you can check BoardGameParadise.com. They're also at Board Game Paradise on Facebook. And, of course, you can always check out my information at NycosRPG. That includes additional information on not only their properties, but the product and merchandise I have available. So, again, I want to thank Axolotl as being my first voter, and I look forward to additional people coming online. We have roughly 4 hours and 48 minutes until the polls officially close here at NycosRPG's election night coverage, and I have up in the background the actual voting information, but I am not broadcasting any of the actual results from those, because after all, I'm a big time advocate for role play, and I'd like to leave the world politics to the world instead of getting it involved with our experiences here. So if you haven't yet, reach out to your friends and colleagues, anyone that you know that is of a role-playing bent, and let them know that the election here is going on. Love to have them included and let their voices be heard in this oh so important election. I am simulcasting on both It's Okay to Play on Twitch, as well as NycosRPG on Twitch, and the official votes are being tallied at NycosRPG. So make sure you include yourself in that process and get your vote in. And while we're on the subject of role-play games, which of course is near and dear to my heart, the merits of role-play are rather monstrous in terms of the socialization skills that are developed as you're a role player, as well as the importance of developing character. And I kind of say that slowly like that because, yes, everyone knows that you go into a role-play game and you build a character, but actually the process of character building with a more direct intent actually is speaking to the idea of becoming a better person, to becoming a more moral, more ethical, and more understanding person. And I have to say that in all of the years that I've been involved with the role-playing environment, there is absolutely no audience base that is more compassionate, more caring, and more aware of the conditions of others than role-playing communities. As a veteran, military community is great, but the military community is segmented by branch, and while they do tend to skew arguably to the right simply because of the nature of their work, they are not as community friendly or engaged as the tabletop role-play games community. And I've known many people who are role players whose experience base comes from the electronics format, from the advancement of properties from the way back like Zork and Baldur's Gate and that kind of thing from a Dungeons & Dragons standpoint, all the way to modern role play through New World or World of Warcraft, that kind of thing. And still, none of them compare to the tabletop RPG community. I can tell you that a particular poignant moment for me was in 1997. My daughter was killed in a car accident. She was only 9 years old, and I was spun into a pretty dark place there for a while. And if it hadn't been for my role play community focusing on my personal self-care and making sure everything was okay with me, if they hadn't been there, I honestly don't know where I would be. So I have to give a great shout out to the players who were in my role play circle, but even to a larger extent, the role play community, because at that time I was running considerably large games at games conventions. I had devised a role play mechanism, which also will be released in the near future, I'm really excited to say, called Parallels. That is a mass play environment for use in educating and training, if you will. So it'll be a corporate culture kind of environment. But we were running 25 to 40 players in the same game at the same time over a 4-hour period. Just myself and one or two assistants, and it was glorious. And so they also were aware of what happened with my daughter, and there was for my part, extreme outreach at my daughter's funeral. There were more than 200 people in attendance, and for a 9-year-old little girl to have that many people show up and show solidarity was just incredible. And I also, in that process, got to see some quite fascinating occurrences result from that. For example, one of my very best friends at the time was an atheist, and the rest of us were grieving over Jera. Many of us knew of her life and how things were going, and so most of us were not really concerned about her spiritual destination, if you will, because she was, after all, a child. But my poor friend Steve was just as a atheist was he was just devastated. It just tore him up, and there was nobody crying at that funeral like my friend Steve. And to this day, that really shakes me, because I mean, there's no greater gift than knowing that your family cares about you. But when a neighbor and an associate and somebody who doesn't even adhere to the concept of godliness is tearful at that loss, that's staggering. So, alrighty, I'm going to be taking a sip of beverage here, and we'll get back to it. All right, so our current status on the election is it appears to be a runaway with only 2 votes in. Homebrew content is just plundering the branded content category. Of course, we are early in the election. We are just at 1 hour, 20 minutes into the election cycle. We've been on air for roughly 1 hour. And that's because I've made my vote before the election. How's that for bias? But we are looking forward to additional information and content. So let me, that was not what I wanted to do. You close, get out of the way. We'll try here. I'm going to let my Discord all know. Oops. Alrighty, there. I've sent my vote out. We'll see if that gets anybody's attention whatsoever. We are sitting at 2-0. It's a runaway. I can't call the election at this point. We've still got 5 hours. So feel free to reach out to your friends and associates. Let them know about the process here. Have them jump on to either NycosRPG or It's Okay to Play on Twitch, depending on which is their preferred venue, and have them cast their votes for this all-important content election. Homebrew content or branded content. We do have callers standing. We have callers standing by. Phone. We have phone attendants standing by, which is me. So feel free to hop in. So again, Axel, thanks for hanging out and sticking around with me. If you have any questions or comments, anything you want to include, feel free to toss it in here, because 5 hours of me rambling is going to be I'd rather have I guess I'm more of an interview kind of person. I prefer give and take, and since there's no giving, no taking, I guess I'm just giving. So all right, so I do want to say I'm really appreciative of the 536 followers I have on Twitter. I'd like to aim for 1,000 by the first of the year. That may be ambitious, but it literally, if each one of us just bring one person over to follow. By the way, if you haven't yet, make sure you like and follow, and if you can, subscribe to this channel, because it helps support my operation and keeps me on the air. I endeavor to eventually be on air every day with something, material-wise, property-wise. I've got a bunch of different shows. I have conversation shows like Creative Differences, where we talk with creators and artists about their work and how their development process compares with the process of creating homebrew role-playing materials. And we also have Making Believe, where we talk about the very aspect of creativity in the workplace and how we can endeavor to be more creative and expansive in our reach. Let's see, I also wanted to, one other place I wanted to go to was over here. As I said, I'm reaching out through all my different social media sites to advise people of what's going on. So the reason for doing an election night coverage is twofold. Number one, obviously, it's a subject that is important to everyone to make sure they get out and vote. And here in California, I think you've got a half an hour left to get to the physical polls if you are going to do that. I voted in an abstention, an absent. What do you call it? I voted by mail. I know there are a lot of my friends that would say that that's cheating the process because it's not actually getting out to the be seen voting, but nonetheless, I voted in advance to make sure that I didn't forget or didn't find myself unable to for some crazy reason. So I'm waiting for the polls here in California to close so I can see whether or not my vote mattered at all. But in this case, we are talking about one topic and one topic only, and that is our homebrew games. Is homebrew content or branded content the go-to for you or your game master? And as noted in our first official non-host votes, Axolotl was kind enough to include his reasoning, and so I would love it if you, when you post your vote, if you choose to, definitely give us the reasons why you went the direction you did, because it will help us in the long term determine the validity of either of these positions. As a roleplay gamer with all of the years of experience that I do have to say that there have been gems released by different companies at four different properties, and in the case of the roleplay environment as branded content, one of the biggest advances, if you would be, actually was originated by the people who eventually became Paizo Publishing back even before they had officially broken away and become Paizo and started the Pathfinder property. Lisa Stevens and her team were actually developing the long-form module materials that would carry a character over multiple adventure levels within a single story. And some of my favorites from them would be inclusive of the Council of Worms and Shackled City. And I have to say that I have pretty much abused the copies of both that I've used in my games. And so although they are branded content, they are also great fodder for homebrew advancement. If you're joining us now and you haven't yet noted, this is election night coverage on NycosRPG. I am Jonathan Albin, the Game Master. We are brought to you by Board Game Paradise, our sponsor. They are a retail store in Redlands, California. That's their logo in the corner. And we are asking if you wish to vote in this election. You need only go into the chat, announce yourself, maybe say hi, and then give us your take. Are you a person that are you fond of the homebrew content where the storyteller in your community makes up his own tale, whether he utilizes other properties or not, but it's his own story? Or do you prefer branded content where the module and the materials is already pre-created, and so therefore the game master has a simpler process? And this voting, in order to vote, I do believe you have to be a a verified member of Twitch, which means you have to have started a Twitch account. And then just click on the send a message box and send me the message. There is no cost involved with that, of course. And if you are fond of what you're seeing, if you like the idea of what the show is, make sure you click the like button, that little heart down below, and also click on the notification so that you get updated every time I do a new release. Also, if you are on other platforms, I am at NycosRPG just about everywhere. So that is the handle that I use just about everywhere for NycosRPG. The concept of Nykos, of course, based on my game Homeworld. And of course, it also stands for Not Your Clumsy Old System, but that would reveal my personal agenda for roleplay. So there you have it. Let's see. One more thing I got to do over here. I'm posting to my social media while I'm doing this, and I can't type and talk at the same time. Sorry for the deafness here. So. There we go. All right, so we are roughly 1 hour into the election process. We are operating all the way until midnight. So if you are with us, thank you, Axel, for the comment. And sure, I understand. I totally get it. Being in a league game, you can't fault one game for the other. So more power to you. And yes, thank you for your comment about the homebrew leading to broken builds. I think that really is not so much a matter of a broken build, but a game master learning process. I actually, as a game master, run an academy for new storytellers at games.official.academy. That will be listed in my, if it isn't already listed in my notes down below. In fact, I'll put it in here as well. It is just https://games.official.academy. And if you go to that site, then you can actually subscribe to one of, I think, 3 courses on role-playing. And I provide full masterclass training for games masters through that process. The training materials are inclusive of videos that I've done in the past on those subjects, as well as a downloadable checklist and notes page that the participants can use to improve their storytelling capabilities. I also do, starting on Sunday, Saturday, we'll be doing Games Mastery 101 again here on Twitch using the NycosRPG channel. So, let's see here. So if you have not yet cast your vote, make sure that you hop on and let us know your views on this. We have only had 2 votes cast so far. Of course, it's a runaway. 2-0. That's a runaway. Of course, somebody will chime in eventually with votes, I'm sure, for branded content, because there are a lot of people who highly advocate for using branded content for a couple of reasons. One is storyteller accountability, to make sure that the storytellers are staying within the realm of the rules or whatever. The level of value to the branded content is high, and we again have our commercials, which we love them because it's in revenue generation. So if I haven't said so recently, make sure, if you like the show so far, go ahead and click on the heart to follow the channel, and also click on the notifications so you'll get notified every time we release new property going forward. And we are 1 hour 17 minutes in, and at this point we have still Homebrew content leading branded content in 2-0 with a accuracy rating of ±2. So let's see. So I've sent out messages through all of my media sources. And why did my microphone turn back on? That's too strange. All right, it's back off again. So, those of you that are well, Axel, if you have any other questions or comments, I'd love to hear from you as well. I feel more comfortable in a conversation basis rather than monologuing, although arguably I could talk forever. I do tend to do that. So let's see, nothing. Wow, so much content is dropping tonight from other people. They must know that the election's going on, so therefore they're using it as well. Yep, so many people vote. So many people voting on important issues, and of course this is an important one as well. To those of us who are gamers, that is. So Axel, what's your experience level? How long have you been role-play gaming yourself? My eyes are all over today. I realize I'm not making enough eye contact, I don't suppose, with you guys, so forgive me for that. Oh, nice. It's 2018. Who was your did you start off as a player or a game master? I know that with the new wave of 5e, there are a lot of people who actually started on the game master side right off the bat. Oh, that's fair. That's fair. Thank you for that, Axolotl. Yeah, if you've been playing since 2018, That's 4 years of experience playing. That would be pretty experienced. Have you played with several game masters or with a single one for that entire time? I can tell you that with my experience, I've had players change out on me on a fairly systematic basis, but I've also had players that have stayed with me for years. I've even got players that I stay in contact with that are from decades ago. So, as a matter of fact, I reconnected with one of my players from the 1974-75 game. So that's the first contact I've made with a first iteration player. So it's pretty exciting month for me as far as that's concerned. For those that are not familiar with NycosRPG, with all the years that I've been playing, I have a 6.5-year story arc that I've created. Literally, you have to play every week for 6.5 years to see the full story. And we are, quite honestly, in the death throes of the 8th iteration. I have 3 groups still operating, and they are trying to resolve the last 3 pieces of the puzzle for the world to reach its conclusion, its end for good or ill. And so we will be seeing where that goes. But cool. I'm glad to see you've played with several. One of the biggest benefits, I think, to the roleplay environment is that you don't have to experience just one world. I mean, the world we live in has enough fun and challenges to go around, I suppose, but there's nothing like diving into another realm and seeing the world through a different set of eyes and seeing a different world. The fact that you're an advocate for Homebrew, I'd anticipate that all of those GMs were also Homebrew storytellers, or were any of them branded? Were any of them following just what the book said? Axolotl. As far as experience in writing, I can tell you that you never get fully experienced. I mean, I've been doing this long enough that I actually focused for a period of time, almost 7 years, where I was doing nothing but writing, and I published 350 books in that time frame, beyond the 9 that I published for myself through Amazon.com and Lulu.com. But those 9 books that are still out there are the only a small portion of what I had derived, if you will, from my writing experience. And I can tell you that writing in a whole lot of different genres does help with writing in any category. So I hope that your writing experience continues to where you feel comfortable. I will also say that I believe it was, I can't remember if it was Da Vinci or a philosopher that said this, but there's a famous saying that says that no creative process is ever completed, it's only abandoned. Oh, okay. Okay, cool. I see you're in. Dragon Heist, one of my favorite, only because it really does a good job of fleshing out the Waterdeep setting. The earlier versions of the Waterdeep materials were themselves rather bland. I remember the Forgotten Realms volume, and I had that book for a bunch of time. The map was useful, but the narrative descriptions of all of the buildings were kind of snoozy. Curse of Strahd. I was going COS. That sounds familiar. What is, Curse of Strahd. That one, I have to say, is an interesting animal from a player standpoint, as a game master. Also, Curse of Strahd is a rather onerous setting, and it does the only thing that Dungeons & Dragons 5e can do to create theme, and that's put a lot of limits or boundaries around the players to make sure they have to fit certain characteristics and conditions on a daily basis. And that's the only way they could arbitrarily force a theme. So, although I'm really a fan of the Strahd setting, I prefer to run Strahd in either a Call of Cthulhu setting or another roleplay system setting. So, good. I'm glad you really enjoyed it. So I'm glad you also had experience with the branded play side. what kind of perspective can you give us, Axe, about your take on the two? If you were doing a one side-by-side comparison, what is it you would get from a branded environment that you wouldn't get from a homebrew, and what do you get from a homebrew that you don't get from a branded? If you don't mind me asking. And the death house, I'm assuming you're talking about the part where you had to deal with the twigs and stuff. That part of the house, is that what you're referring to? I'm not sure. I only ran a portion of Curse of Strahd as a paid game master, and that was the part that I actually had to deal with, was the house and the barn and the scarecrows and that kind of thing. That's interesting. Alrighty, so we are 13 minutes from the 8 o'clock hour. We have registered 2 votes in this election process. Looking forward to getting additional information from other players as well. So feel free to hop into the chat at any time. Let us know your take. We are asking the very important roleplay question: are you supportive of homebrew content, or do you prefer to support branded content from the manufacturers? Look forward to your response either which way. We'd love to have you included in the conversation. Pardon me. Should have paced myself a little bit better. My mouth's getting a little dry. We're only an hour and a half into the show. Yeah, when I was running back in the 80s, when I was running branded properties, there was a company called Alderac Entertainment Group, which later devolved into AEG and then converted to a board games and roleplay card games company. But they were originally a roleplay company, and they produced half-size modules. And so they were kind of a cast-off purchase at $5 a piece, which arguably even then wasn't really cast off money, but it was far less than the $12 to $15 that it was for a regular module. So it was generally they were set up as targeted one shots. They had a single theme and would play out in about 5 hours, 6 hours of role play. Oh no! Oh, nice. Cool. Strixhaven. That's an interesting realm. I mean, obviously, they were leaning towards a bit of Harry Potter when they created it. Not going to lie, pretty obvious, blatant, but it does give you a nice place to work from. And having a good, solid setting environment really is critical. That's why NycosRPG and my Game Masters Academy is really set up to help with the development of world building skills, because it's in creating a tangible, believable locale that you are able to accomplish the development of the story on a larger scale. And as I can see right now, we have lost our one viewer for a moment, but that's okay. We're going to continue our coverage all the way up until midnight, give everybody an opportunity to get their votes in. I know there are a lot of people who are choosing to use this Tuesday night as their role play night, and there are far more of you that are stuck watching the election materials that are coming in from other sources. I personally am following along with them as well. So we're seeing how things go here. Alrighty, so we are still ongoing election night coverage of the pertinent issues to role players today. The election we're looking at particular is the contest between homebrew content and branded content material from the designers of properties, and how well you as a player are embracing, as a player and as a game master, how well you are embracing those two in which you prefer. I'm certain that in other venues, the regular elections are being covered in depth, and many of you are glued to that because those issues that are facing us today are quite important. So, as I noted earlier on, I voted absentee ballot in advance of the election simply because I didn't want to. I want to make sure my vote got counted and that it was in the hands of the electoral folk before the election itself started. So, my votes as a mail-in ballot may count into the election later, but we will see what happens there. So. Making sure my links all work out. There we go. Alrighty. If I sit through the entire night and have only that one small conversation with Axolotl, that'll still be okay, because we did get some great text and great conversation in, and we did cover several of the different topics, and I'll get some. We'll be able to definitely use some of those quotes going forward. Oh, there you go. You're back. Hey, and I see somebody else came with you. Yeah, welcome back. I know you've been having trouble with the internet, so glad to have you back. I want to let you know that we appreciate you, even if you get cut off and can't somehow get back. For those of you that are just joining us, we are in election night coverage. The critical issue we are covering is the preference between homebrew content or branded content. If you are a role-play gamer, feel free to jump into the chat, post your preference, and perhaps a little bit about why you've chosen the one you have. And we're doing a bit of a kind of a straw poll, casual conversation as well. Axolotl, who's currently with us, has been instrumental, if you will, on kicking off the conversation. At this point, the votes are a runaway in favor of the homebrew. If you are a fan of the branded material, we'd love to hear from you as well. Man, I sound like a telethon guy, but the reality is that your votes count, and we want to make sure we get all the terminology in on what you would like to say about this controversy that's facing us. And yes, perhaps I am poking a bit of light at the election night coverage that is going on elsewhere. I am very aware of those, but the reality is that once you've made your vote and once the votes have been cast, there's really no reason to worry about it until the morning when the election results have all been tallied. So feel free to hop in, tell us what you'd like to tell us and share with us what you'd like to share. And if you have a vote, have a preference on homebrew versus branded, we'd love to hear from you. So I know I'm doing these silent things, so if that gets disconcerting, whatever, let me know. I'm having my eyes on all kinds of stuff at the same time. And if there are any questions that you have for me as well, I've with 48 years behind the shield, I have at least a smattering of knowledge about just about every role-play system out there. And if you have any questions about how things might be improved in the role-play environment of your own games, things that you feel are missing or whatever, I might be able to give you some recommendations and help on how to do that. Do also know that I put in the chat my Academy website. So if you wish to learn the skills necessary to be a spectacular game master, they're available at games.official.academy. If you don't mind me asking, what part of the country are you in? You East Coast, West Coast, middle of the country, foreign nation? I have no idea. Don't know what my reach is. I'm based in Southern California, and as I said, a game master for my sponsor store. We are in my we are an hour and a half in, so in this half hour I haven't mentioned it yet. Board Game Paradise. This little logo over in the corner is their logo. You'll see it on their website and also at Board Game Paradise on Facebook. They are my sponsor, and also they're the location where I play role-play games on a weekly basis, Monday nights at 6 p.m. I would love to have any of you join us that can for those events. There's a $10 table fee that's paid at the front, but it is one of the best. I can quantifiably say it is one of the best role-play game stores in the Inland Empire, and possibly in all of Southern California. They've got board games, card games, miniatures games, role-play materials of all sorts, puzzles, a lot of materials for young parents and stuff to help their kids develop their intellectual skills and stuff. Really great place. if you haven't, do remember to click on the follow button and the if you wish to also subscribe, but also make sure you click the notification so you get notified whenever I do new material and releases. They will be faster and furious going forward. Oh, hang on a second. My alarm is going off. This means I need to take my 2-minute break. I'll be right back. Alrighty, I'm back. Thank you for giving me the couple-minute break. I needed to go and take care of a couple things. I have an alarm clock that goes off every hour to remind me what else I need to be doing tonight, and every night for that matter. Catch us up on our updates. We are covering the election night news in reference to the all-important topic of whether role players prefer homebrew content or branded official product release product content. And so far it's a runaway. 2 votes in, and it is 2-0. To be perfectly candid, of course, I hold that position myself, and therefore we are everybody's agreeing with me, so yay! Axe, we were having a conversation earlier about the you were running in a Strixhaven campaign and things like that. which is, you said tangential, which means they're probably using some of the materials in the rules, but they're not actually adhering to the material. That's homebrew the way it's always been done, I think. Let me ask you this: when in the Strixhaven environment, are you playing it as a student or as part of the staff at the school? I've been interested in it. When I got the materials, I saw that it could be set up to run either or both or whatever. So that is it set up? Oh, there you go. Oh, that's cool. So are you the game master in that case? Or are you a player? It would be actually kind of cool if the GM's letting your own NPC be in the story that you're playing. Oh, okay, cool. Nice. Like I said, I have the Strixhaven material. I thought it was kind of fascinating, but I don't actually I have not actually run any games in that environment or even tangential to it. Although arguably there are academies on Nykos on my game world that perhaps would emulate some of the stuff in it. I've just never created or utilized anybody else's creative materials for that. I appreciate you sticking with me. Perhaps in the future, when you come one of my patrons, we can have you come online and discuss topics with us, or perhaps for one of my interview shows like Creative Differences, you might want to come on as a fledgling game master, and I kind of pick your brain at the same time, help you to maybe overcome some of the challenges you have as a storyteller. That's Creative Differences, and that show I believe is on the schedule. Let me go see. Does it have it here? Oh, that's just got my campaign schedule. So I'll have to go see where it's at. Over here? Over here? Nope, not over there. So, anyway, that's okay. At the 2-hour mark, almost, we've got 12 minutes left to be the official 2-hour mark. It's still a runaway. Homebrew Game Master content has 2 votes, and branded content has the goose egg at this point. I have put out the word through social media sources, as many as I have, which at this point is rather deplorable. Given the number of years that I had a computer and a camera and all of that, the amount of time I've spent in front of it has been far too small. So, as I said, if you like the content, make sure you smash the follow button and the heart and the bell, so that you keep up on whenever I create new content and you don't miss a thing. Have you, Axel, have you ever been in a roleplay game via an online environment, or are all of your games face-to-face? I ask because during COVID, I took it upon myself as a game master to try to provide as many opportunities for players to engage as possible, because I didn't want people to feel lost or alone or isolated. And so I was running 9 sessions a week, all contemporaneously in the same storyline. So it was pretty challenging and exciting at the same time. So I'd be interested to find out whether you've done any of the online role play at all, just for comparative purposes. I do have a game that I'm currently running. One of my 3 active campaigns is among my patrons. If you are a member of my Patreon account, we have a game on Sunday afternoons. It runs from 1 o'clock until 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And they're an eclectic group. Let's just say that. And my Monday group is pretty broad as well. My oldest player in that is 78 years old. There's a whole comedy sketch built into it. Jean drives 70 miles from Anaheim one way every week to play in my game. She's 78. She has one leg, so she has a prop. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, no. The question was, have you ever played in an online environment through Discord or Roll20 or one of those? And that's okay. You've got your own life going, and I don't mean to be pigeonholing you or cornering you like that. So it wasn't meant to be an ambush. But yeah, so I was running. Anyway, so yeah, better finish that story. So Jean drives out, 78-year-old woman, costing her $8. She drives a truck that gets about 9 or 10 miles to the gallon. She drives all the way out 70 miles to come and play in my game, pays the $10 cover charge to play every week. And she has been a part of this iteration for all but the first 3 months. So she is one of the few living beings on this planet that have lived an entire existence on Nycos as well. So, and arguably it's been a pretty fascinating experience for her because her entire life she was single. She had a twin, and the two of them lived in the same home for many years. And so she had never had children. So she never had that experience or anything. And yet in the role play environment, she is actually going through her teenagers years right now in game. She's married in game, has a devoted husband who is traveling most of the time and all of that. So it's really fascinating because it's all manufactured with the exception of her passion and love for the game. And so she drives out and plays every week. She's the oldest. The youngest player we have is a 14-year-old, and we have two of those. At one point, we had an 11-year-old, but his attention span was that of a flea. So his parents recommended that he didn't stay because he was, quote, bored all the time. So anyway, so we're eclectic. We've got a young couple. We have two middle-aged single folk live with their folks and that kind of thing, and one. That's the core of my group. I've got a couple of other college kids that actually. Oh, okay. Yeah, online is great. That's awesome. I'm glad. Thanks for the feedback, Axe. Yeah, the online environment is a great alternative, especially if you don't have access to a tabletop group. I can tell you that once you play a table, it's tough to go back to the online environment. But what we have found is that the online environment allows us more flexibility as far as scheduling is concerned. And in my case, I actually play more dynamically on the tabletop than I do online because we play what's considered to be theater of the mind online. In other words, I'll put up a map per se, but we don't actually, excuse me again, we don't actually have miniatures or use of a virtual tabletop, although I have before. I have a Roll20 account and things like that. As a matter of fact, I have one of their legacy accounts going way back, so I could use it anytime I want. But I find it a little too arcane and difficult, especially to teach newer players how to use. So I just play theater of the mind, which is I describe and they react. And so far, it works rather swimmingly. On occasion, I have to, put up a map of a locale or whatever to make things more understandable. And I do have some visuals as far as like what the monsters look like and such when my description fails. But generally speaking, we're able to muddle along without the rest of the tabletop accoutrement, so to speak. So, do you play in an area, Axe, where there are tables available? Are you in a large like a city, or are you? That was one of my other questions that I'd asked earlier when you weren't here or weren't able to hear me. What part of the country are you from? Are you from SoCal or from some other part of the world? Oh, okay. You're right on top of us. Yeah, so you should join us. Redlands is, yeah, State Street is in downtown. You would get off at the Orange. Wow, this is way into the weeds for people that are from other parts of the country. But if you get off on Orange Street off the 10 and go into downtown, it's 1 block from the Redlands Mall down State Street. So you head east on State Street past the mall, and it's on the left-hand side or the north side of the street. And we are there from 6 p.m. until 10 p.m. Oh, were you indeed there yesterday? That's awesome. You probably were you. Did you didn't stay and play, right? Are you one of my players, and you've been gaslighting me here a little. Well, I know you can't be the first person I thought of, because the first person I thought of didn't make it yesterday. So, but if you were just there yesterday, awesome. If I got to meet you then, even more awesome. And if you come and play, that would be even more awesome. Oh, that's okay. That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, just so you know, there's a game right there Monday nights. It's a $10 fee, but you can jump in anytime. I have 5 regular players and 2 fairly consistent players. My camera froze. Give me a second to catch back up. There we go. I have 5 regular players and 2 others, so you're more than welcome to join us on Monday nights. Now you've got no excuse not to play. I hope my audio is coming in okay. Yes. Yes. And that would be great until you're a storyteller and you've got 50 NPCs and you're not going to want to buy 50 sets of dice. So eventually they get repurposed. 6 p.m. 6 p.m. until 10 p.m. That's ish, because sometimes we get out early. Sometimes we play all the way till 10:15 or so. But it's normally 6 p.m. until 10 p.m. And you'd be more than welcome to join us. As a matter of fact, if next time you visit the store, make sure you let them know that you saw me on NycosRPG, because I'm trying to make them aware of how helpful this can be for Board Game Paradise to be a sponsor. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. And in the meantime, we are still sitting at 2-0 on our election. We haven't had any other votes come in yet. I've checked both of my websites and both of my Twitch channels, and neither of them have any new material yet, but that's okay. In the meantime, if you have any other questions, comments, odd topics you want to include, feel free to do that. I would ask if you have any particular things that we should put on a poll for future elections, whether it be this year or perhaps in future shows. What kind of questions should we ask of the audience? Like I said, I'm relatively new to this. I've been live streaming for years, but I was live streaming the whole campaign and was pretty much not even interacting with the viewers, because I didn't know what was possible and what we could do. And my eyes have been opened. And also want to let you know that as an exclusive, I have a card game that is going to be released only at Board Game Paradise. This will be the only place where it can be bought all the way through Christmas. So just be aware of it. It's called Mortis, and it is a card game that requires only 2 normal decks of cards, and play is about 15 to 20 minutes long, and it's a fun little competitive game. It's a pickup kind of game called Mortis, and it will be available next week. I'm doing the final bits of layout right now so I can start printing, but that will be the icing on the cake of the NycosRPG release, which will be going into Kickstarter probably first week in December. We'll see how that goes. Oh, glad you asked the question. Yes, I do feel that the tabletop face-to-face play offers a couple of benefits over the online environment. The first of which is when we are gathered together with other people, there automatically is an energy level increase. I mean, you can get excited when your friends hop online and you hear their voices, but there is something even more intense when you get to see the people face to face. So that's the first thing that okay, do you feel as though playing in person? Well, I mean, most of it has to do with, but more in relation. Okay, I got you. That information of character classes and subclasses is actually one of the foremost reasons why the NycosRPG is being launched, in that I have dealt with for years the challenges of, especially in the roleplay meta, where players can go buy product releases that I don't have and suddenly want to play character classes and races that I am not even familiar with. And I've always had a pushback towards that. And mainly it's because those properties are associated with branded material on their side. So the person who is creating the character class already has a framework of reality that new class or race falls into. And from a homebrew standpoint, when I'm holding on to a new when a new character is being offered to me, it's difficult to want to include it. Although those are some great questions to ask in a D&D 5e particular environment. In my case, the NycosRPG actually does away with class progression, and it doesn't get rid of the career progression. You can still have the jobs. You know, you could be a protector or a healer or whatever, but that's in the aspect of how you play the character, not in the limitations thereof. Because what I create is in essence a way for you as the player to deal with your own progression and advance in the game without having to wait for the game master to award points or give permission. Literally, the actions you take in game are the things that you can advance. So if you are, for example, you have a skill in horse riding, well, that horseback riding skill can improve to where your combat from horseback can improve as well, because you simply know your way around the horse. So those advances then are handled by you, the player, with the game master only having tangentially any input to it by granting the opportunity to use that skill. But you're right, there are a lot of questions that could be asked from a polling standpoint of, you know, do people prefer the straight cleric build, or would they want to go with a paladin cleric build or whatever? So in this election night, we are talking about in particular the variance between homebrew content and branded content. We want your thoughts. If you will, just jump into the chat, say hi, and let us know whether you prefer homebrewed material content for the games that you play in, or branded content. That is property that is produced by the manufacturer to forward the story that they have in mind. Love to hear your thoughts. Right now, the election is swayed 2-0 in favor of homebrew. So please, if you're joining us, feel free to just hop into the chat, say hi, let us know your take on this. And as a bonus, if you don't mind, include the reason why you would take that position. In this case, Axolotl, when they joined, they gave me that information, and so we are continuing this conversation since that point. Glad to see more of you hopping on. Please feel free to contact us through the chat. Let us know what your take is and which of these important election night issues you support. I am not covering national elections or anything like that. There's a world of other people that are doing that, but what I did want to do is take this opportunity to talk about something that's near and dear to my heart, and that is, what is the preference of players? Do they prefer homebrewed content, that which is created by their storyteller, or do they want to add, or do they want to utilize specifically and only branded properties? Okay, cool. Axolotl continues to give me additional feed input. You guys are all welcome to join as well. I do believe you have to have either a registered phone number with Twitch or have a Twitch account. Either which way, just click into the comment section, into the chat, and let me know what your take is on this particularly strong issue. Homebrew content or branded content. My bells are all going off. That's okay. So, in this conversation, we've been going over some of the benefits of homebrew, some of the benefits of branded. If you haven't been here for all of those, I can kind of review. The benefits of branded content is that it stays within the framework or confines of the rule system as defined by the producer of that material. Arguably, some of it could be OP for other environments and such, so sometimes it's hard to mix and match. Whereas in a homebrew environment, many cases, anything goes, and sometimes even the storyteller can be a little over the board in terms of creating OP situations or whatever. And yes, from the player perspective, it's absolutely... hey, Rec! Welcome! Axolotl and I are talking about role-play games, and given the fact that this is election night, I'm doing election night coverage, but of course only on a subject that's important to gamers. I realize that there are plenty of other channels out there that are doing the political red state, blue state, I'm right, you're wrong kind of broadcasting, and instead, I'm looking for the answer to one simple question. Are you a fan of homebrew content or branded content? Those of you that don't know Rec, if he jumps into my chat, he could actually come on with a voice, and you would hear he has a voice made for radio. My lord, the man could be doing broadcasting on national levels if he only had yay! I hope he does join me, because he has, like I said, you hear him. He is my spokesman. I'm going to be giving him opportunities to do readings for me because his voice is just so rich. So glad to have you with us. If you would, Rec, go ahead and just drop your vote in here. Are you voting in favor of homebrew content or branded content? Which way would you prefer to go in role play conditions? Which would you prefer to play in? Branded content adventures, homebrewed content adventures? That can be just a written decision, and I'm glad to hear from you when you can. That's fair. I'll tell you what, Axe. If you come to my games on Monday nights, I will give you an honorary membership to the channel. So therefore you can talk to us after that. I appreciate your comment about that. I get the economy, and you added the word college in there, so that's a justification for why you're poor. I know there are a lot of people in this country that don't get that benefit, so good for you. I hope that your degree program is going well, and we'd be glad to have you at our game on Monday, and if you show up there, I will give you an honorary membership to the Discord. Matter of fact, Rec has played in quite a few of my games, from the roleplay roulette days to a couple of different of my campaigns. So he's a little familiar with the Nykos realm, and so perhaps he might have some good stuff to say there. And he definitely will benefit the channel in having more to listen to than just me rambling. Those of you that are viewers, please make sure you hop in. Send me a note in the Discord. In the chat. giving me your opinion on this topic. Are you a homebrew game content fan, or do you consider yourself an aficionado of branded content instead? Right now, the official vote is 2-0. We are. There you are. There you are. I hear you. No, I don't hear you, but I know you're on with me.
Yeah, it's
through the stream.
Ah, there you go.
Because of the
Very large echo.
Oh, you still got echo? Just a second.
So how are
you, good sir?
I am doing well. I need to figure out which I need to mute here. You still hearing the echo?
No. I muted the stream.
Oh, I got you. Yeah, the stream on. I am doing well, and I'm glad to have you with us. I got this bright idea right when I turned on election coverage and realized it was going to be red shouts from one channel and blue shouts from another, and I decided I didn't want to hear any of that. So I decided this was a great time to do something kind of silly and have an election night coverage for a topic that we really hold near and dear. So I need to know what your formal vote is. Are you a homebrew content aficionado, or are you a branded content devotee?
Situational.
Ah, so you want to run right down the middle. But this election is still just an election. So which way would you cast your vote if you had to?
If I was introducing a new player, I'd have to go branded content.
All right, that's fair. And
because the sheer volume of stuff you have to deal with as a GM when you start, no idea.
Oh yeah, no, I wasn't meaning for the game master. I'm talking about for a player. And the player, it wouldn't really particularly matter. It would depend on who the game master is, right? But that's okay. Go ahead and officially log your vote, if you would, by going into the chat and just put in, just type in branded content. Put everything else in. That's how you have to vote.
So I just type the word branded content?
Yeah, just type into the chat. Just type in branded content. Yeah. Or I vote for branded content, or however. If you notice, Axolotl gave an explanation for hers, but you're going to get to do it verbally, so because I'm going to pick your brain apart. Well, not apart. That's really violent. So, although we've had some great conversations, I would never pick your brain apart. There we go. So now I got a formal first vote, and now you've closed the gap by 50%. How does that feel? Yay! Now a race. It's now a race. It's not a runaway. So, how do I feel about the incorporation of a character backstory into an overall story in the campaign from the range of Critical Role, where everything that happens to a character is related to the pre-made adventure? Because I tend to fall somewhere in the middle, but I'm curious. Okay, so I'm going to ask Rec his take on this first. But first, I'm going to answer the question, if you don't mind, Rec. The background of a character really depends on how fluffy or how prickly you make it. And what I mean by that is, from a storyteller standpoint, a player coming into the campaign, even if you're only talking second session or even first session, if the character's background is too fluffy, it's too filled out and too complete, there isn't anything for a game master to grab a hold of and use to drive or help the player develop the character any further. I feel that the concept that Dungeons and Dragons came up with, that gave you a full description of your background and such, actually was doing a disservice to storytellers, because that part of it really should be part of either a session 0, maybe even a pre-game conversation, to make sure that the player and the game master both are on the same page of where you are and what you're doing. If your backstory comes in way too filled out, it becomes too difficult for that to happen, and therefore, especially in the face of a pre-made adventure, the player needs to respond to what the storyteller has to work with. So, first question, Rec, I'd like to ask you is, in terms of new player and branded content, do you feel the same way for players as you do for game masters? Or I certainly would agree branded content is necessary for a new game master. But
I think that players need to have homebrew content, because that's really the goal. I mean, branded content is to introduce you and get you used to the format of Dungeons and Dragons or whatever role-playing game.
That's right.
But
That's right.
after that, it's all about what you and the players come up with together. And that makes homebrew content naturally. And most people don't really, like, especially when we mention critical role. You know, there are a bunch of professional voice actors. So.
Well, you realize though that they're now branded content. Matt Mercer made a deal, and his properties that are coming out are all going to be within the canon.
Oh, that's fine. I know that he's been doing the.
Oh, it's still a little echoey. It's probably me. I know why. Give me a second.
Here, let me do this.
No, I know what I know what part of it is.
Okay.
Because you're coming out over my speaker instead of coming into my headphones, because for some reason the Discord settings is wrong. So give me 2 seconds.
But as a GM who has learning disability, who does not deal with a lot of text information, a long backstory is actually difficult for me to deal with. I usually prefer to ask my players to, wait for a session that we're actually in, and then just describe it to another player around the fire or something. Just involve the actual player in that backstory, and until they say it, it doesn't really matter because it's not real. Does that make sense? Or does that?
Hang on just a second. No, I'm trying to fix the sound problem.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. All right, try that again. All right, try again. How does that sound? Can you show me? Oh, now I can't hear you. Pardon us, folks, while I figure this out. Testing 1 2. Testing 1 2. Okay, I can hear you now, but the issue is that you're coming in over my headphones, so I got to figure out. Or you're not coming in over my headphones. You're coming into my microphone, so that's going to be.
Well, I'm confused. So I will stand by.
Yeah, just un momento, por favor. How about now? Can you hear me, Rick? I can't hear you. That is so bizarre. So I only have one microphone. Oh, I know what it is. Maybe my camera has a microphone on. Double check that. Hasn't been echoing before though, so. Okay, can you hear me now?
I can still hear you.
Alrighty. Don't know why it's only coming out through my speakers. Matter of fact, I don't even know how it's coming out through my speakers because my headphones are plugged in, but my speakers are not. How's that for? That's alien there. That's ET right there.
Oh wow!
Oh wow!
What's that?
Missouri
might just recreationalize marijuana.
Arizona?
Legalize
it, that is.
Arizona? Missouri.
That's correct.
Well, they're gonna.
Missouri Amendment 3. Legalize marijuana. Of 64% reporting, 52% of the state says, yes, we want cannabis.
Wow.
I'm fucking happy
Uno
about that.
momento. I think I found the problem.
I love that. Oh. Well, while Jonathan Albin just deals with his technical difficulties, hello, Axolotl. I think I actually pronounced that correctly as well. Of course, knowing my luck, Axolotl cannot hear me. And I'm saying this word perfectly for no reason.
I discovered the problem.
Oh?
I fixed it.
Oh?
There we go. Yay! Yes, I had a cord plugged in the wrong place. So, hey, it's fixed. Yay! Got rid of the echo.
Hello, Axolotl.
Yes. So, Axolotl's been conversing with me for the better part of the show, and is actually, ironically, right here in the Redlands area, right near where I am. So, I've invited them to come and play with us on Mondays. So they're they're in college and play right now. They're in a Strixhaven and have played Curse of Strahd and a couple of other the branded properties. But they like we agree that Homebrew is in the long term the way to go. But the fact that they're involved with Strixhaven and several of the others kind of lends them somewhat to what you were saying about play within the framework of the branded content until you feel comfortable enough to branch.
Well, it's not just comfortable with branded product. It's the system and just the motions of it. You can use, old branded product just as much as you can new branded product. So.
That's true. Yeah, I think that the question that she asked about backgrounds is kind of important too. Because especially when you've got a person who's a fledgling game master, they don't even know what they don't know, in terms of backstory. And a player who's new to the game sees those and gets excited and starts to fictionalize, fill in, if you will, the personality based on those background pieces to the point that they become insulated and difficult to merge into the campaign. So I think it's important, especially when you're first playing, to not lean too heavily on the background. How do you feel about that, Reg?
Say that last part again.
I said if somebody is just getting started playing, Axel was asking about backgrounds, character backgrounds. And my comment was that backgrounds should be downplayed, especially for a new game master, because he doesn't even know what he doesn't know, and the player should merge their backstory into the main story. Well, or how do you feel about it?
I think it's I don't know, it's whatever important parts you want to take from it.
Sure.
I mean, it's honestly, it's all imaginary anyway. So just, I don't know. I think people are too used to being told, "Hey, this is the, in a sense, career path you're taking." Whenever people don't realize homebrews, there's some really crazy shit that occurs in them. So they're
Hmm.
not like,
Hmm.
yeah.
Sure,
So
sure. Well, and I think that there are different levels of branded content too. I mean, if you go back and look at the way, for example, Pathfinder approached it when they created their world books, like Council of Dragons and Cauldron, Shackled City. Those properties were made specifically to make it so that the game master didn't have to do any of the legwork or backwork if he didn't want to. He could lean on their properties, whereas some of the world settings and such that they've come up with, like Eberron and things like that, don't have as much gravitas, and so the storyteller has to fill in the blanks a little bit more. You know, they're not as all encompassing.
well, I mean, if you're talking about the older systems, and the older systems had something that the newer systems don't. That is, they weren't looking to point the players directly at, "Oh, this is what you have to do." They were going, "Hey, here's all this
Well,
information."
I think you may not be aware of it, but there's definitely been a weather change inside the halls of Wizards of the Coast over the last 2 years or so, where they are aiming you specifically at stuff. There, as a matter of fact, as you may recall, I actually had a module that I put up that was Nycos focused that I actually sold through DM's Guild, and I recently got a cancellation from them saying that GM's Guild no longer accepts material that does not focus on branded sets.
I mean, you knew it was
So,
coming.
well, yeah, well, and well, the mechanism for it really wasn't there because they hadn't really developed any. I mean, if you look at the first 4 years of I almost said fifth edition, there wasn't anything other than the DM's guide or whatever. Uh, the mechanisms that they are putting into place for one D&D are actually kind of an answer to the gap that they left for themselves in 5e. The reason why my account got locked, I know, was specifically because they bought, was it Roll20 or one of the? I know they bought Drive-Through RPG or whatever, but they bought several companies recently that make it so that they can actually start to put the hammer down and say, if you want to play with the environment we create, you must play within our environment. And I think it's a kind of a death knell. It's a dangerous call to make for Dungeons and Dragons because, as you pointed out, the groundwork for Dungeons and Dragons, going all the way back to its origin, of which I can speak since I was there, has been to promote the world creator in the game, the would-be game developer, the guy who wants to build his own world. And now that's no longer their focus. They don't want that. They want you to build, but they want you to build their mechanism. So yeah, you can write a module if you want for Strixhaven or whatever, and that's the only stuff that they will sell, is stuff that fits within the frameworks they've built. Anything that doesn't, anything that's an outlier is now going to be restricted out of existence. I mean, so I made, I didn't make a lot of money, but I made a steady amount of money with the module that I had up on there, and now that's gone. So I had to reconfigure it for direct sales. So ironically, that module, which is written for 5e, is going to be my first convert to NycosRPG. Which, by the way, just a quick blatant plug, NycosRPG is now available in PDF form from my website. So if you go to NycosRPG.com and go to the shop, you can actually get the NycosRPG in PDF form. It's 2 folders, so the cover is separate from the actual volume itself. But if you don't need the cover, you just need it's a one price download for both. But if you don't need the cover, that's okay too.
Yep.
And the actual book is going to be available probably in December from Board Game Paradise, since I got the printing coordination made. I just have to make my first order for product. So we're on our way in those places. And also this next week, I'm going to be releasing Mortis, the card game I made many years ago. I reformatted it for a smaller print, and it'll be available at Board Games Paradise exclusively, or from my website exclusively, starting next week. So things are moving. Excellent. But in this point, we're still talking about this policy of or this division between GM content and branded content, and I totally understand the reason why you took the position of branded content. But in the long term, do you feel that stories that fall within the framework of the branding company is beneficial for the player, or does that seem to be more of a like an isolationist grab by the content designers? Did the question make sense?
Say it.
Oh, I asked a question. I said, do you feel that the idea of playing within branded content is good for the players, or is it something that they should immediately branch out of, and therefore multiple copies of or multiple products inside of a branded content is just a money grab by the system designer?
I don't know. I mean, I think that honestly, the branded content is just for getting your feet underneath you. Yes, you're going to have fun. Yes, like I'm about to embark on a Tyranny of Dragons campaign, and it's going to take us from level 1 to 20. But I'm not. But this is because the GM is new. He wanted to try something new, and I'm willing to give my I'm going to try it.
Cool.
I'm not too happy about it.
Not too happy about playing within the Dragons novel?
I do not like the Forgotten Realms now. I liked them in 2nd edition. I was barely tolerating them in 3rd edition. And then it
What broke?
It went Monty Hall is what it went. Fucking magical items everywhere, healing potions everywhere. It's now a video game instead of a role-playing game.
That's fair. That's fair. But then again, don't you think that the player base is now I think we're drawing more from people who played video games than we are from people who didn't, in terms of new players.
Yes, and they're demanding the same type of rules and options that video games give people, and they don't understand that that's not the way role-playing games work, because the rules and the ideas are based upon what's in your head.
That's fair. That's fair.
So,
on the other hand, the one thing that kind of lends itself to that kind of mindset, I believe, is the game master handing out experience points, because that feels like a video game. You're running through your life, and all of a sudden now you get a big boost in 4 different things because you hit a random numerical value in experience points. And so therefore, it's just like a video game. You finish the thing and you get that little da 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 da, right? And you get your little ding 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 ding, and you get to upgrade your character at that moment. And that feels very video game like, and I feel like that's where Dungeons and Dragons in the experience points pool kind of has gone to, especially since many people have now switched over to a milestone mechanism where you don't get anything until you hit the milestone.
Yeah, and I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, it's a completely and utterly appropriate thing, but
right. And if you're from a player in a campaign, milestone makes sense because the players have objectives. They have things that they are going to accomplish. But I'm also thinking about the fact that when I play at the store, every week or 2, I'll get 2 or 3 new players dropped into the game. They're all starting at level 1. They don't have the ability to wait long term because it's literally their first session ever. So I grant experience points. When I do, my milestoning players take them too. And it's like, well, yeah, sorta. But, at a low level in Magic, in Dungeons and Dragons especially, they've compressed the first 5 levels so that you can burn through them in 3 or 4 weeks, really. As far as if you stay with the campaign for 3 months, you will be in the 5th level range. That's just the mechanics of the way the game awards, experience, and such. So, any little bit of points helps the little guy. But what ends up happening then is my higher level characters, when they do finally make a milestone, they want to know how many experience points they got, because they're thinking that it's going to let them boost twice. Because we've been making experience the whole time, so why do you have to switch to the milestone now? It's like, no, experience points only apply to the little guy. That's my take on it. So, yeah. So, but I guess for me, the one thing as a game master that I find is that when you are dealing with the very concept of role play, if you're role playing in a game that's supposed to feel like real life, then advancement should actually be in the hands of the player, not the game master, because it's what the players do that determines their advancement, right? If you do a thing in a game, that is your contribution. If you literally sit on the sideline and do nothing but listen to the nice story, you shouldn't be advancing. Now, granted, most groups don't have that happen. Most groups have 2 or 3 players that are agents of change and drivers, and they get the rest of the group to do things. But for the most part, I've even had people complain, I won't mention any names, but you know who, feels that because they did more, they should earn more. And it's like, well, no, because your role in the story was to be the person that helped drive the others. That is your role. So why should you earn more experience points? But conversely, and this is where I had to fall back to the realization that if you are active in your life, you should be earning more points, if you will, in some fashion at everything that you do. I ride a bicycle, but if I ride a bicycle and do nothing but ride a bicycle, that's one skill. But if I decide I want to turn to ride a wheelie, that's a completely different set of skills. So yeah, if I say if I'm going to practice popping a wheelie, eventually I'll get so I can ride a wheelie. So to me, it makes sense for the players to track their own advancement. And that's why NycosRPG has been evolving, is to get to the point where that happens, where I, as the storyteller, no longer have to say, "Bless you, my son. Yes, it's the end of this adventure. Stroke on the head, and here's your experience points, and let you advance."
Man, you would hate my game right now.
Oh yeah, why is that?
Because I make the players go back to town at the end of every session, and I give out
that's one way.
Numbers.
That is one way to do it, exactly. And in my evolution of a game master, which is on my games mastery series, in that episode I actually go through the different steps of being a storyteller, and that is one. I mean, you evolve as a person telling the story as much as you do as a player, and as you go along, you say, "Well, this seems to make sense to me," and then you try different things. So at one point, you become a Monty Hall, and you just give everybody all the cool toys because you enjoy the experience of their thrill. And then later you're going, "Oh God, I gave them way too many cool things, and now I can't kill them. I can't even damage them. I can't even give them the fear of God anymore." So then you turn into a OTK game master. You're trying to take them all out one at a time, so that you can at least feel good about yourself because you didn't give them too many loots. You know what I'm saying? So you vary over time. So yeah, I totally can get that where you're running a game where, nope, okay, you got your treasure. It's the sun's going down. The sun's getting real low there, boy. You better cool down and head back to town.
Well,
otherwise you're not gonna get your advance.
I've been running just the kind of off and on games where the GM can't be there. Oh, there's everybody's getting together. We're here. Oh, damn, there's nothing. Well, I can DM. Might as well.
Okay. That's a completely different mechanism. That's a one shot, and I totally get that for experience points. When you finish that session, you need to be able to say, and matter of fact, I got into an argument. I have to tell you, I got into a flame war on tabletop RPG Southern Cal on Facebook the other day when I said just that. I put out a tip of the day, which was simply make sure you grant experience points to your adventurers before or near the end of the session so they can make any advancements going forward. And I predicated it with saying in reference to one shots. And the fire started because another player said, if it's a one shot, they shouldn't get any experience points because the one shot is one experience, and therefore they shouldn't get any EXP because that character shouldn't be able to carry forward to the next session because it's a one shot.
Well, hold on. It also depends upon the GM, because like me, if I'm running a particular day, and I don't have, let's say, a particular group that I just, like you were talking about earlier. You're talking about showing up at a game store and going, "Hey, does anybody want to play a game?"
Right.
It's like, in those, if you're doing it every week, then yeah, you can give out experience, and it's not that big of a deal. I mean, I guess those people have never experienced that, so.
Well, I think what it is actually is that the flame war finally ended when I explained more clearly the difference between a one shot and a session. A session of a campaign, it can be a one shot. You literally can go in, get the treasure, and be done. Right? That could be the entire session, but that individual session doesn't by itself define a campaign. So if I'm playing with the same group of characters week over week, even if I'm running a series of one-shot adventures, it's still a campaign because the players are still part of a larger story, right? Which is separate from a serialized, where I say, okay, this is going to be 4 weeks. We're going to play through, Tomb of Elemental Evil or whatever, or Temple of Elemental Evil. We're going to play through that, and so therefore that's going to be 4 weeks. And you lock it out, and that's a series, right? So that one needs to advance over the period of time because it's a longer period of time. That's still the same characters. And then third out of that are literally what I call the bullets, which are the one-shots that have nothing to do with each other, which is kind of what you're talking about. If you run a game between other people's games and the characters aren't the same week over week over week, there's no skin off of your nose to give them experience points, but there's no reason you have to either, because that story theoretically is with characters that may never see each other again and therefore don't really exist within the time frame of the larger arcs. And then of course beyond that are my favorites, which are the sagas. That's the 6.5 year grand story where every week matters, and even if it's a one shot, it still should give some advancement towards the goal.
Correct. Yeah, I do that myself. That's what I prefer.
Yeah, most game masters I think prefer the ongoing story because they also get familiar with what the players are capable of and what their advancements are. The main reason for going to a player regulated advancement system is that the players can actually feel that advance instantaneously. It's like instantaneous gratification on a minor scale. And then at the end of a session, if it's like, for example, the end of a story arc, you've reached what would be in a D&D classic sense a milestone, then you can award bonus points and say, well, due to the fact that this is accomplished, go ahead and take a ramp up check on 3 of your skills or whatever. And then the player still gets to choose where that goes, but it's within the framework of what they used in game. So that's me.
Yeah.
So we are at 9 o'clock. We have 3 hours till the polls close in this official election. Currently we're running 2-1, 2 in favor of homebrew content and 1 vote for branded content. I would say that there's actually potentially an asterisk on that branded content because the reality is that all content should lead to homebrew in the long term. But that's just an assessment on my part. I'm not going to bias the election in any way by making any kind of recommendations or suggestions. Cough, cough. But we still are sitting at 4 viewers, so if you are a viewer and have not yet cast your vote, make sure you let us know what it is you would like to, how you would like to vote on this, whether you want to be a advocate of homebrew content or whether you are a proponent of the branded content in favor of the way you'd like to play.
So remember, branded content has cookies.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Just saying.
I grant you a BP for any character you play in my game. There you go.
Oh
yeah. Yeah.
I'm hoping to especially do the. When are you going to run Call of Cthulhu again?
Okay, so that's a really great question. I am planning on doing roleplay roulette once a week, but I haven't figured out which day of the week I was going to do that. So you tell me which day of the week you can do it, and we can start one up. I have to tell you that the online environment has. I've added the roleplay roulette aspect to my shows here on Twitch, so I'm up for that. But that's 1 in 20 to get to the deep signs, which is the Cthulhu.
The only day that I have that is absolutely and utterly free is Wednesdays. Casino.
That's fair. Yeah, Wednesdays I have a live game at a at a consumer's house, paid GM spot there, but that's not until 5 p.m. So if you're available during the day, maybe we can do a midday kind of thing.
Maybe. Yeah.
I do have to mention to the viewers, the person that is with me, what you call Requiem of a Madman, is who you call yourself here?
Yeah.
Yes. Rec here has been a friend of mine for a lot of years, and I think you would agree with me. He has the rich and sultry voice that would be perfect for voiceovers. So I'm going to be talking to him about a couple of opportunities after we get off of the broadcast, or maybe I'll even blurt it out here. The issue, Rec, is that I have books that I have written that I would love to be turned into ebooks, not to Audible books, so I can sell them.
I don't think I should. I don't think it's a difficult thing. I mean, I'm pretty sure I could do it.
Okay, nice. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me double check here. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I've got 4 of my novels, and then of course I've got Top of Your Game, The Guide to Winning at Everything, and I also have Your Life, Your Game, Your Move. That I would love to turn all of them eventually into audibles. The first 4 are small. Like, I think the biggest of these is like 40 pages. Double check. Come on, open up. 55. 55 pages is the longest of my little books. So.
Well, send whatever my way, and I will. Like I do, like I usually do. Yeah,
do you not to do a simple plug, but do you have Amazon Prime?
I do not. No.
Okay, because if you had Amazon Prime, all of my novels are available to be read for free. You can pop them down as PDF, but if not, I'll send you copies because I have them. So cool.
Yeah.
Excellent. So. After this, just drop me a direct message with your mailing address so I can get them out to you.
Okay.
Or I can send them as PDFs. Either way, doesn't much matter.
Brothers.
Anyway.
Yeah.
See.
I've got to remember where I have that.
Okay, so Axel, you fell into one of my evil traps. She typed, I don't even know. They typed, Axel typed that on the base of our charismatic bard. But anyway, and forces the Broody Rouge to react. I got you to spell rogue wrong. R-O-G-U-E is the stealthy stealer of things and sneaker of persons. But rouge is a color. Or a tint. So,
Could also be a makeup.
Yeah, it could be makeup.
Yeah.
Or it could also be a city, like Moulin Rouge, right?
Baton Rouge.
Or Baton Rouge. That's true.
That's what I think of. I thought there for a second. I thought it was something Rue. I thought it was. I don't know.
The Rue Morgue, Murder Rue Morgue. That's close.
Yeah.
It's got the O-R-G-U-E in it. It just has an M on the front.
Yeah, the current group I had right now had 2 rogues in it.
Oh yeah. What's really hysterical, absolutely hysterical, is that in Nykos, since this iteration started, I'm not kidding you, since this iteration started, other than yourself as the Lacertine, I've had only one other rogue in the entire 6.5-year campaign. Your Lacertine Benny was the only rogue ever this campaign, this arc.
Wow.
6.5 years of play. Can you believe that? And it's because it got so nerfed by 5th edition that most people don't like it anymore because they took away all of its skills. You know, they made it so that everybody could do all the things that a rogue could do, most of them better. So, because why go rogue with the low hit points when you can go ranger? because the rogue doesn't have any of the cool urban skills they used to have. No climbing walls, no
Yeah, but see,
hearing
that's the
noises.
thing, man. It's all about story. You know, if you're playing
Yeah.
a rogue, you're going to be able to do more than somebody who's a ranger.
Right, and if your storyteller has his big boy pants on, he's going to give you, grant you the things that you should be able to do anyway, despite what the rules say. But that's just me. You know.
Yeah, I mean,
Axe says that a soul knife rogue is their favorite. I'm not sure what a soul knife rogue is. I don't know which set that's from. It sounds like something out of Tasha's, but I'm not certain. I don't recognize it. I don't think it's something from the base books. Do you know what a soul knife is? Soul knife rogue is? Correct?
You know, does it have like collar?
Does it have like
it
collar?
It
has a knife that can sing jazz. Oh wait, did I say that out loud?
That's what I was wondering. I was like, you know,
it's got soul.
Is your collard greens involved? Because I would be okay with fried okra. Yes.
Yeah, they can wear purple. Be okay. It says psionic mind knives.
Oh man, I don't know, man. But yeah, so, you talking about like Psylocke from the X-Men?
Yes.
Okay, so now we have just officially said, and I'm going to say this: D&D is fantasy fucking superheroes.
It has become that. In the past, it was fantasy. What was the term they used in the old Source and Sorcery days? Action adventure. You know, they weren't considered superheroes by any stretch, but Conan and Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. You know, not Doyle. That's Burroughs. Edgar Rice Burroughs with Tarzan and that kind of thing. Those were the. I guess you could say they were superheroes at the time, weren't they?
They were well above average people.
Mm-hmm. Destined for something greater or dangerous or
always
heroic. Oh, it was Tasha's. Nailed it. Yeah. When people talk about the different types and stuff, you can almost tell where they came from by the terminology used. A soul knife totally sounds like something straight out of Tasha's. And I wonder about that too in the long term, how that's going to play. I remember, like, in our day, back in my day, you're back before the turn of the century, the games properties had the same kind of gravitas. In other words, if you popped up with talking about something from Melnin Bernay or something, you know, Vanishing Tower, Eternal Champion, everybody knew.
Okay. You've got to run a game like that, or tell me somebody who runs a game like that, because my God, I miss that.
Yeah. Well, what's nice is that Nycos is set up so that I can actually run Iteration 2, and you would be right in the middle of that, because fundamentally, when I run Iteration 2, I run it under the old AD&D rules, which feel like that, which means you build your character in a hardcore fashion, which means you are less likely to have have 5 really powerful numbers, but you're going to have 1 or 2, but you're also going to have a destiny. You're associated with, like in the case of Melnin Bernay, you're actually set up to be a child of nobility. You are born into a family that has relics. You know, you start off with something, a weapon that's already talking in your ear and whispering secrets, you know. And so, yeah, I definitely am down for running something like that. And if I find anybody that is currently, I will definitely send them your way.
Yeah, because I would love to try like Hawkmoon or like some of the Castle Amber stuff.
Oh, now, so have you ever played Amber Diceless?
I hated it.
Well, it's a yes and improv group, really, is all it is.
It's far. It was
It wasn't as fun. It got too political with the group we played with.
You had to know the actual material, or else it was a complete failure.
Well, to me, we
And there's somebody holding their head. But see, here's the thing. There you go. You're back.
it's flashing at me right now. It's not showing me back yet.
But seriously, I'm.
The world hates me right now. No, I'm just kidding. I'm showing 19 seconds. It should be showing me live, but it's not. Ack. Well, fortunately, we can keep talking, but it's not helpful to the show. Am I back again?
Yeah, I think it has something to do with whenever you switch tabs or move or something within the system.
No, I wasn't. I didn't have my hands on the keyboard at all. So, I'm glad I'm back.
Yes, you are.
Okay.
Well, I really like the pipe.
What's that?
I really like the pipe.
Oh, well, thanks. Yes, I've got 3 of them now. I've got 3 of them. This is my longest of the church wardens, and then I've got a shorter church warden. I found that I like the fire far from my face because it heats up too quickly. And then I have my little fake meerschaum, which is not a meerschaum at all. It's just a cherry pipe. But yeah, I have gotten to the point where I am my own grandpa. You know, always wanted to be here. That's what I always wanted. Way I like to live, sit and talk to people and smoke a pipe. That's fun to me. My granddad used to, when he'd finish work, he wasn't supposed to smoke. His wife, my grandmother, hated the fact that he smoked, so he switched from cigarettes to corncob pipe, and his were all handmade, and so it was the coolest thing to watch him make a pipe. Because you knew what he was doing. He's going out in the shed. I'm going to do some work in the shed. Everybody knew. But Grandma. that's what he was going to do, is go out there and smoke a pipe.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm glad I don't have that kind of life. You know, since I'm about to hit 50, I've learned I don't give 2 shits about what anybody thinks or.
Do you have grandkids?
Not yet.
Okay, so so when I've told this story twice now, but I'll tell it again. When I was 6 years old, 5 years old, 6 years old, we were in Chicago, and we went to the Museum of Natural Science and History, and there was a reporter out front interviewing children, and it was late November. Back then, you didn't go into Christmas decoration stuff until the end of November, just before Thanksgiving, unlike today where they do it before Halloween. But they were interviewing families, and they're asking the kids what they wanted for Christmas, and they also asked them what they wanted to be when they grew up. And the 3 little boys ahead of me had done the classic, I want to be a fireman, I want to be a policeman, I want to be president. Got to me, and I thought it, without even batting an eye, I said I want to be a grandpa. because I had met my grandfather a couple times before that, but what I knew about him was this: he worked for the government for 30 years as at a power plant, and he lost a little bit of hearing, but he had a full retirement. So at the age of 55, he never had to work again. And I saw him go out and putter in the yard, drive a riding lawnmower, go fishing any day of the week he wanted. It was like, that's me. That's the life I want right there. And so once my son granted me the benefit of being in the I lost my train of thought right there. Wow, that was weird. That was very abrupt. Anyway, once I saw that was the life that once my son granted me the benefit of having his children, I was done. I'm like, okay, I can do anything now. I can, pursue my own passions. Walk away from a corporate job. I walked away from Konami at very close to six figures to write. I've written 350 books in the intervening years. I've traveled. I mean, even before I retired, I was traveling. I've been to 40 of the 50. I've lived in 40 to 50 states and on 6 of the 7 continents. All these different things that I've gotten to do. Now I can just sit here for the rest of my life, talking to people on the internet and jawing about the things that we love, and that would be okay with me forever. Except that I would like to be closer to a fishing hole, because it'd be nice to go out and drop a pole in every once in a while. I still have the one that my granddad gave me, which probably means it'll break the first time I use it. It's an old Zebco reel on a simple pole. So, yeah. So.
Well, I mean, okay, Axolotl. Let me point something out to you, okay?
Sure.
Talking about what you want. You talk to the DM that you're going to have the game, and you just ask them what they want, and if you give that to them, I think you'll have a much easier time. Because communication is key. I mean, if some GMs don't want that. If you find out that's the case, maybe go somewhere else, or to a different.
Well, yeah, or in advance of the campaign or in advance of the next series of adventures they're going to go on, tell them that this is I just want to have fun with this particular kind of character or whatever. So therefore, they don't have to wrench the story to make it work. That's the backstory portion also feeds directly into the character class issue, And I think the other thing that's kind of been a disservice to players in the modern realm is the idea that we have to maximize our character in the metaverse. In other words, outside of the game, we sit and talk about, well, at the next level I want to gain this, and in 2 levels I'm going to cross class to this other thing to get this advantage. It's like that's kind of missing the point of living the character. And I don't disagree that the different subclasses sound really cool, but again, that's just a matter of talking to the storyteller. And if the storyteller that you're with doesn't want to tell that kind of a story, yes, there are 1,000 others out there. And especially, Axolotl did say that most of the time they play their role-play games online. Go to Twitch. Stay right here on Twitch. No, stay right now. Stay with us. But if you go about on Twitch, there are hundreds of game masters running hundreds of stories, and most of them are more than willing to add a new player to whatever they're doing if there's room. It's only the big tables that already have viewership and whatever that are so locked in their ways. But I would say there's probably a third of the game masters on Twitch that are doing it not for viewers per se, but they're doing it because they like their game and want to share it with others. So you should be able to find what you're looking for in that venue. Of course, I do think that there's probably a huge opening for a looking for game website. I've talked about it for NycosRPG to become that, but I'd prefer to have it become that within the NycosRPG metaverse, the 7 or 8 campaign realms that I've already got developed. plus the 20 that Rec just touched upon a minute ago when he talked about our Call of Cthulhu game. Because that deep science game was great, and a good administration. She played such a good congressman. Even to the point though where you swallowed the goo. That was downright terrifying for everybody.
That was me.
Are you saying you overtook the overtook the congressman as a player and just said, no, we're doing this?
No. My ADHD ran wild, and I just kind of went, hey, what would happen if I ate that? And then I did it.
That's true. You did. You caused a certain player to lose his mind. That was funny. That was worth it on its own. Oh, God. Oh, by the way, Chrissy said that she's going to be able to play again here soon, too. I'll let her know about your Wednesday opening, because she also said that she really missed playing, and she actually also mentioned specifically the Cthulhu game. So, you remember Kit Chrissy, the one that has the doctorate?
Yeah. She does burlesque, and I'm
oh yeah, you're all about that, I'm sure.
She inspired me. That's why I'm still trying to. I've got to the end of this month, but I'm going to record me singing the Grinch.
Oh God, I want that, and I want
burlesque.
That. Okay, have you heard my theme song?
Have I heard?
I have a theme song. I've got a Nycos theme song. Oh. I actually got a group. They had already recorded a song called "I Live in Dungeons." And I called him on the phone, and I backed his Patreon and talked to him for a few minutes. And he said, "Oh, sure, you can have it as a theme song. It's yours. Write your own lyrics if you want." So I have to get that for you. He sings it in a falsetto, but I think you would be perfect for it too. Slow the song down a little bit, because he wrote it as it's actually written pomp synth, and. I have the rights to it. I could play it here, but it's a pain to go get, so I'm not going to do that right now.
Uh-oh. Guess
you're
what?
Running a space game. What's that? Did I die again?
With 68% of the polls reporting,
you're going to get your marijuana?
No. I don't live in Missouri. I'm next to Missouri.
Well, yeah, but you could cross the border and smoke.
Yeah, they
called it. They
didn't call it, but it's gonna be
nice.
I'm very pleased about that.
Yeah, I'm just waiting until it's covering 100% of the states, because that means that 25% of the drivers will stop driving. Statistically, they found that to be the case in Colorado. 25% less traffic on the roads after the marijuana law passed. Yeah, because everybody's like, no, I don't need to go to work today. I'll just stay home. I got a bowl. It'll be fine.
No, I don't think it was that. I think it was there was enough marijuana users that they Ubered.
I don't know.
No,
I know
so many people in California that treated being high just as seriously as drinking. And so like Getting Dug with High, he's a comedian. He has a show that he does, and all of his guests who are fellow comedians, they get Ubered there and they are Ubered back, because you get high as fuck. And so they don't want you to drive, and they take care of you. So
I only joked about that because I know that Uber and Lyft are getting killed in California and several of the other Western states because of legislation that forces Uber to pay employees as salaried employees, which turns them into cab companies, and it's killing those drivers. It's not Uber couldn't care less, but the individual drivers are getting what was their livelihood stripped from them because they don't want to work an hourly job. They don't want to have to be on the road 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that's going in Colorado. But like I said, I just noted there was 25% less drivers on the roadways according to one of the polls I saw.
87% reporting, and we are 53% that says yes, 46% no. And with that, I think you can almost call it.
Oh, you're talking about the Arizona law?
Yeah. No, I'm talking about the Missouri law.
I mean, why do I keep saying Arizona?
Oh, I'm so happy about
I think because it was on the ballot too. I saw that Arizona.
Expunges arrests and conviction records of nonviolent marijuana offenses.
Yeah, we're gonna dump a whole bunch more people on the street that were incarcerated. I know they call it
except for driving under the influence and sales to minors. Those
and violence.
Are still...
And violence. And violence. They had
it already said nonviolent. Nonviolent.
Okay. I know that in California they ran into an issue because in California when they write you up for one, they write you up for both. Because there's actually a public intoxication law out here or something or other. So when they get you for the one, they get you for the other too. And therefore, even if they would have been released by Biden's decree, it didn't end up doing much to the population out here. So,
you know, it's funny in the whole like in the voting of where people who voted for it the most.
Mm-hmm.
Jefferson City, Springfield, St. Louis, and Kansas City.
What, population centers? What a surprise!
Every other place that is rural, for the most part, is just no.
Yeah, right. They don't want their neighbors smoking it, but in the city, you don't know who else is there, so you go for it. It's a blue state, red state thing, I think. Too.
Wow.
What's that?
You can possess up to 3 ounces of marijuana.
I don't know what that means. It means nothing to me.
That means you can have up to 3 ounces of marijuana.
I know, but 3 ounces, I don't know what that is. That a pack of cigarettes amount?
That's a lot.
Is that like a pack of cigarettes?
That's like a carton of cigarettes.
A carton? Oh, that's
supposed
to be pretty
Every
light.
ounce is like a carton of cigarettes.
Every ounce is like a carton?
Yeah. And you're allowed to have 3. Wow, that's pretty good.
That's enough to share. That's
Man, I'm sure.
Oh man, that's one of the reasons why I haven't included any of this kind of stuff on this show, because we could end up with somebody on the other side of this aisle and going, what's wrong with you freaks? So
well, go. I'm already I qualify for medical marijuana anywhere in the U.S.
No, I know. Yeah, we've had that conversation before.
But damn, man, this is amazing.
But so you're gonna move to Missouri? Is that what I hear?
No,
it's not that far away.
No, it's not. But that's not. But no, I'm not gonna move there. I've already applied for canned care. I'm applying for disability. So, yeah.
What city are you in?
I'm in Mission, Kansas.
Oh my God. So when I posted about me living in Kansas, you freaked out. Now that explains that a lot more. You're like, where? Where are you? Because I lived in Oakley and Quinter, and I didn't put list Salina in there. I lived in Salina for a while.
I know where that is.
Yeah, Mission's east, right? You're east side of the state.
No, we're west. We're the Kansas City. Oh, you're talking about Mission. Yeah, where I'm at is the very east. Yeah.
Yeah. You're where Kansas still has hills before you actually get to the real flat.
But yeah. Oh wow, man, this is gonna be good. I'm just happy for a lot of people. Because like I knew too many people that like
that's fair.
I knew too many people that had like, you know, either special needs kids or something like that really could have used that, and now they have access to it, and that's really, really wonderful.
So we had another new viewer pop up. I don't know if he's new or not, but I wanted to let him know the election is now for us 2 votes to 1 on Homebrew versus branded content. And if you are a viewer and have not yet done so, please hop into the chat, tell us your views and on whether you prefer content created by the game master storyteller himself, or whether you prefer content created by the manufacturers Our current vote is 2-1. We will keep we're intending to keep the polls open all the way to midnight to give everybody an opportunity to vote, and we'd love to hear from you on what you would prefer. There's no obligation to do so, but of course, if you're joining us, it would be important because we are realizing that there's a whole lot of stuff going on in the real world with an election going on tonight that is, on issues that are critically more important than this, but we all just want to have a place to let down, relax, and just have a great conversation. So feel free to join me. Requiem, a madman, is with me, Rec, and we're glad to include you guys in any conversations as well.
But yeah, marijuana is now legal in Missouri. That's freaking amazing.
Alrighty. I also need to mention that right after the comment about marijuana, that's a great place for me to put it. Maybe I'll wait a couple of seconds. No, one of our sponsors is Board Game Paradise in Redlands, California. If you want to come and participate in the game that I'm running, I run one game a week there every week at Monday at 6 p.m. It's on State Street in downtown Redlands. Difficult place to miss once you get downtown. All right. Rich may go, what were you doing on your show, John? I heard the word marijuana just before the mention of my store.
Yeah.
He is definitely on the red side of the aisle on that one. I don't think that's... Hey, that's okay. That's okay. He sponsors me. He doesn't own me. I'm not owned. So.
People who smoke marijuana buy more board games.
Ooh, is that a true fact? You got numbers for me?
Oh,
man. You got me. Get me the documentation.
How many?
Give me the documentation on that. I know they do buy more munchies.
I know so many people that have Cards Against Humanity.
Why did you have to go there?
And that is
why
opening. Like I'll go one place and somebody will have Go, and the next time somebody will have Katana, and then the next one it's like the
I know, but you had to go to CAH. You know what you know that's a trigger word for me. So because the reason why that's a trigger word, just for the other viewers that don't know, I was really good friends with the guys from Days of Wonder who I'm sorry. Yeah, Apples to Apples. They created Apples to Apples, and when they sold off Apples to Apples to Hasbro did not exert their license immediately. And while they did that, two of the guys that worked for Hasbro created the idea of let's make this game, but let's make it dark. And they created the first Cards Against Humanity. They didn't want to get in trouble, so they didn't license it or anything. They just started to publish the cards for free. So you could literally download the first version of Cards Against Humanity for no money. And then they added a tip jar, basically, and people started throwing money at them to create more content or whatever. And that's how they got started.
Well, that's how you're supposed to start.
No. Well, okay, I get the free part. I get that part of it to build up interest. But don't do it by grabbing somebody else's license and twerking it to your own purposes. That's what I was getting upset with.
Imitation is the best form of flattery, man.
Yeah, but it doesn't put any money in the pockets of the guy that you've just flattered, no matter how much you flattered him.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
If CAH took at the end of their year and said, I'm going to send 2% to Days of Wonder for their work or whatever, I would be okay with that. But the fact that they just, no, we're just going to make our own thing and you can suck it. That just, it bothers me as a games designer. If I have a games design that I create, yes, for example, in the role-playing environment, I'm creating NycosRPG, and I expect everybody to do homebrew their own stuff. And I don't care whether they publish their homebrewed stuff or not. That doesn't bother me, because that's acknowledging that the rules exist. But when you pretend like, oh no, this is all new and brand new and all of that, and don't at least give a nod to the people that you took it from, that's what bothers me. So it's an ethics issue, not a moral issue. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. Well, who knows? I mean, I'm not gonna. I mean, maybe they did.
No, they've actually said as much in interviews now. So okay. It's established that's what they did. So, but I don't. I mean, I'm not either one of them. And Days of Wonder made lots and lots of money off of Ticket to Ride, so they don't care, right? They went ahead and moved on.
Hey, man, I've been looking at the old fucking copyrights that have lapsed, and I've been like, some good stories there.
Yeah. You see how badly what Disney did with their version of Alice in Wonderland.
Disney did with what?
Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah.
After the original license ran out, they made the version with Johnny Depp and played fast and loose with the original story, and it bombed.
Well, you saw that they did Winnie the Pooh, don't you?
They didn't do Winnie the Pooh.
No, somebody took the license and they did.
That's because A.A. Milne's license fell out. Yeah, and it's horrible. Slasher film.
But it's like that, you can do all kinds of new.
Oh, I'm with you on the old licenses. Matter of fact, one of the reasons why I hate Disney personally, why I have a problem with Disney, is the fact that they create something called enduring licenses. So, for example, Cars and Pirates of the Caribbean will never go to public domain ever. Ever. You won't be able to ever. I mean, 100 years from now, Pirates of the Caribbean will still be under the licensing mechanism that Disney came up with.
Okay, but remember, the only reason that even matters is because there was a freaking ride about it.
There was a what?
There was a ride about it. That's the only reason it's a thing.
Pirates?
Yeah, wasn't that a Disney ride?
Yes.
Yes.
And when they made the movie, though, the movie was not a Disney stick.
Yeah, but
they actually licensed it, and then they incorporated that license to include. And I'm not talking about the fact they did it. It's fine. My issue is that no one will ever be able to do something even akin to it without them pushing it. So I guess it's apples and apples. So you're right. I'll shut up now.
No, you're fine.
No, on that subject. I mean, you can't shut me up. You know you can't shut me up. And I've got a microphone. And I've got a camera. And so
Just fine.
I know.
So did we? No, we have not. We are still running one short of Brandon content. So, oh well.
That's right. Yeah, we're still holding on. We've got four people, four people viewing, and I know one of them's me, one of them's you, one of them's Zach. We don't know who the fourth eyeballs are, so we could get a fourth vote, and it could be for Brandon. We could have parity, and we've still got. You can always send it out to your. I know you have an expansive followership, Rec. You can just send it out to them that they should come and vote.
Oh no, I have no followers. I am.
No.
You have no idea. I am so actual private. I mean, I'm not. I don't put anything down on words. I just hang out.
Yeah, but all the jobs you've ever done with voices, you should have lots and lots of people that know who you are.
Well, I have people who know who the voice is, not me. I mean, I haven't done any acting.
Yeah, therefore you just use your voice and call and make it a voice message and say, "Hi, this is the voice inside your head that you can't get rid of." you could do podcasting, man.
Now hold on. Now you talked about. I'm the one who talked about marijuana before, but are you sure you're not all right? Because you're.
Okay, so I do have to tell you, there are stories. I won't say how many, but there are more stories than I have fingers on one hand that actually came and told me after a role play session that they had formally given up on drugs and or alcohol because my games were more of a trip than anything they could achieve through drugs or alcohol. So.
Sometimes I agreed with that. Because man, whenever just
yeah, because I get the benefit of like I mean, obviously I smoke tobacco and it doesn't do a lot, but for me it's a soothing exercise. It keeps my hands a little busy, and it helps to perhaps enhance my focus while I'm writing to have something to chew on or whatever. But that I don't think it equates, but I think there's a call for people to want a sip of brandy or smoke a cigar or partake in marijuana. They're all ways to relax individually. But when it comes to culturally collectivism, I think getting together and playing a role play game is way more interactive with your soul than even sharing a bowl of marijuana.
I didn't smoke cannabis for a very long time, not until my late 30s. So like whenever it came down to like when I started running games high, it was, I don't know, it's an ethereal experience sometimes.
Really?
And
Yeah.
then,
See, I've never been drunk or high in my life ever,
but,
and so.
but then again, I have to smoke cannabis because it is my antidepressant. It's my
I get it.
anti-anxiety medication. So like
I get it.
for me just to run the games now, I have to do that, or else I have that crippling social anxiety. But man, I'm telling you, it's like,
Well, you're not to the point of that song, right? I roll 2 joints in the morning. I roll 2 joints at night. I roll two
oh
joints in the
no, no,
afternoon because
no,
it makes
no,
me all right.
no, no,
Roll
no,
two
no.
joints in the
I don't know how
times
anybody
of
can do
peace and
that.
two in times of war. Then I roll two
Nope.
joints before I
God,
roll two
no.
joints, and then I roll two more.
No, no, no. I am not that guy. I cannot. I am not the overindulger. Only thing I want to do is I want to make the funny stuff go away, make the pain go away, and I'm good. I'm good.
That's fair.
And guess what? It is God, why don't they update this? 87% is reporting, but no more. And I'm like, dang gummit. I just don't. I honestly, I think it. I think we're good. I think we're good. Yeah, it's just I don't know. I'm I'm so pleased about that. It's just I'm very happy for them. My son lives in Missouri, so
Oh, there you go. There you go.
yeah.
I was going to ask a question. You mentioned Call of Cthulhu. Axe, have you played other role play games other than just Dungeons and Dragons, or have you played other games?
Me?
Other. Well, I know you have. I'm talking.
Okay.
I was asking Axe. Well, she's still with. They're there. I keep saying she. I don't know why. I can't. There's no way to tell, and I didn't mean to. So I'm not. Please, I'm not being. I'm not trying to be offensive. I just. Okay, they definitely want to play Call of Cthulhu, so maybe you can get there's another potential player on Wednesdays. Who knows?
Absolutely
Yeah.
terrifying.
Yeah. You should tell her about your wonderful experience as the head of the MK7 project instead of MK6, or Majestic 6 instead of Majestic 7. I can't remember what we called you, what you were a part of. Do you remember what your formal congressman title was? You were head of something.
God, I don't remember anymore.
It's been a minute. It's been a minute. I think it's 2 years ago, 3 years ago now, almost. Can you believe that? We've known each other that long.
Some kind. It was longer than that because I've known you. You were going through some stuff just before the pandemic.
Yeah, pre-COVID was a different world. Holy moly, was that a different world?
Yeah, I thought it was like 2017 or like earlier than that.
Well, okay, so 2017 is when I left Konami. So did you know me when I worked for Konami? I don't think so. I think you knew me while I was a writer.
Just after.
Oh, was it? Okay. Yeah, that changed everything. Changed everything. I had to sell my house and everything. It was rough.
Yeah, because it was literally just after that, and yeah. So. You are much better off now.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I am practically perfect in every way, as Mary Poppins would say. The only thing I don't have is the umbrella flight. I'd like to be able to fly by umbrella. That would be cool.
Yeah.
Then I'd fly back to Kansas once in a while. Dive bomb my grandma's house with my dad's ashes or something. Dad's still here. I haven't gotten him out to Kansas yet. My aunts, my dad's sisters all want me to bring him out there so they can bury him in the plot with their mom and dad. And it's really funny how they've changed. When they first found out about the gambling and how he'd wasted all of his inheritance and stuff, they were fit to be tied. And they said he doesn't even deserve a place in the ground. Blah 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 blah. It was awful, but they've all softened over the years. Now they want him to come back to the old homestead. So
yeah.
when I do, I think I'll have to find my way to Mission just to hang out with you at some point.
No worries. Yeah, I'm. That's what happened tonight. Is I just had a couple of friends over. We had chili, and I made chili. So.
Oh, I know you make really good chili. You told me.
Oh.
I do a pretty good chili of my own, but mine's pretty stock. I mean, I use steak or I use steak or pork, and I use a Verdi sauce for the most part. It's my jam.
Yeah, I used chopped. I think it was sirloin. And with that, I also had this rough ground beef, and I also added chorizo.
Oh wow!
And then I cooked onions and peppers, and I had roasted some Anaheim peppers the night before and put them in. Then I did
veritable meat cornucopia, huh?
Well, and then I did like 3 different types of beans, and then I did my own spice blend, which had everything from ancho chili powder to stuff. It's called dark chili powder. It's much spicier and much deeper flavor. It's really good. Yeah, I went all out. Fire roasted tomatoes, Oh, everybody liked it. And we played a smash up and had fun.
Cool.
And the same people are coming over for Thanksgiving.
Oh, nice.
Thanksgiving and Call of Cthulhu.
Well, I got Jean to invite me to her house again, so I'm going to be one stuffed turkey myself when we get done over there because she goes all out. It blows my mind that she still runs out to our game 70 miles every week to play.
Hey man,
it's the whole joke. The whole joke, she's a diabetic on dialysis who still finds time to drive 70 miles one way to come play Dungeons and Dragons once a week. And she's one of my patron supporters, and she has one of the few landholders on Nykos. She actually owns not 1, not 2, but 5 hexes of Nykos. So she's actually a landholder, and she's working on for her original character that went Paragon. She was trying to create the first formal religion on Nykos in something like 6,000 years in story. So that'll be fun. That's because she's crazy. Crazy! So what do you want to talk about next? Rack?
I have no idea. Because I'm about to get ready to go put up some mushrooms I was working on just before I hopped on here.
Which kind? Are you talking about cooking mushrooms or the smoking, eating, ingesting kind of?
No, just regular cremini mushrooms. I'm just taking
them. Okay. Well, I just meant we were on another conversation. Like, wow, moving up, are we? And they say marijuana is not a gateway drug.
No, but hold on one second.
Sure. So, Axe, have you read any of the Lovecraft works? Are you a fan of the genre, or you just want to play it because it's new and interesting and different?
Oh Lord, it's almost midnight here.
Oh wow! Well, we could call the polling in your time zone, so you can head to bed if you need to.
Ooh, that's true. Let me check.
You're running behind 2-1, but you have to call somebody and say, "Hey, remember that vote blue? No matter who, you got to run over here and vote for Brandon." Ah, bad pun. Let's go, Brandon.
Not really, sorry.
That was funny. I don't care who you are. That's funny. Axes, they've never read any of the Lovecraft stuff, but they like the aesthetic of the 1920s investigator. Pre-cryptid cryptid explorer.
How about that? I am really tired. I had a
Alrighty.
long day.
So we are 5 minutes before the polls are closing in Kansas, but we will go ahead and call it on behalf of Homebrew in your area, since they are ahead. We may be surprised in the overnights, but I anticipate that will be the result in the morning as well. So you have a good night, sir. Thanks for staying with me so long. That was fun. Talk to you again soon.
Talk to you here later on.
Alrighty, Axolotl, back to you and me. Back to us. It is 9:56, 4 minutes until 10 o'clock in California. So we're ostensibly going to keep the polls open for another couple of hours, but we definitely need to pick up on some more viewers. So if you're watching and have not yet done so, please chime in on the chat. Tell us whether you prefer homebrew Game Master content or branded manufactured product from the manufacturer. Wow, that's redundant. Wow. So do you like the stuff that Dungeons & Dragons is putting out for its own self-example, or would you prefer an adventure that's run by a homebrew? Let us know which way you're going, because we're trying to determine the merits of this election during election night coverage. We know the world is covering all kinds of dynamic things that are arguably of a higher importance to the world, but nonetheless, we as game players and game masters want to know, is it a homebrew game or a branded game that's going to make the difference for you? And I scared off whoever it was. X. Oh, dear.
Not even a boomer. He's older than the boomers. Yeah. I mean, it's a very peculiar moment in history when you're getting older and older, generationally older and older and older, 3 presidents in a row. Yeah. At the same time that boomers are no longer the largest voting age demographic.
Alrighty, as we are back and it is 10 o'clock, I was anticipating staying up until midnight and expected to have considerable more excitement about the polls. But if you are interested in voting, I'm going to leave the opportunity for you to do so in the comments on the video itself. I will tally all of those and have a completion in the morning. I am going to go ahead and call it in the name of Rec and Axe. Thank you so much for your votes tonight, folks. Thank you for your viewership. We hope to see you again, and glad to have you with us. And Axe, remember, if you want to, our sponsor is Board Games Paradise. And my finger vanished. There you go, Board Games Paradise. They are in Redlands on State Street in downtown. Glad to have you with us if you can. We play Mondays at 6 p.m. until 10 p.m. And otherwise, their store is full service. Go in there anytime you want. Make sure you mention Nykos when you do so. And I will talk to you again soon. Thank you again so much, Axe, for staying with me. I'm going to go ahead and call it at this point and leave the comments if you are interested in the vote. Also, if you like the content, make sure you follow, clicking the little heart down below, and click the bell so you get notification every time I do new content. I am Jonathan Albin, the Games Master, and I will see you guys in another show. I will talk to you later. Have a great night.